We have rain in qualifying, which is what the drivers were not hoping for, which is not good. Not good news at all, I should say. But welcome everybody. Welcome to the stream, everybody. Welcome to round 4 of the 100% League. Rain in the qualifying format. Hopefully that means there is no rain forecast for the. No rain forecast for the race, but we'll have to find out as we get into that one. It's going to be a very long race, like I said, 61 laps around the Singapore circuit, and if it's not going to, if it's going to rain, sorry, I should say, then that is going to make the lap times extended even as well. If it's full wet, I believe it's about a 2-minute lap time. 61 laps around here, that's 120 minutes plus, if my maths is correct, that is. But hopefully, it's not raining in the race itself. And we'll have a nice dry race, but hopefully, well, fingers crossed. We'll have to find out from the drivers. Yeah, there we go. We are underway now very shortly. Like I said, we're getting the first drivers now, getting their setups loaded and onto the track. And we are underway for the first lap in anger. I think it's an Aston Martin going out on track there of maybe Lucas Percy. Lucas Percy is the one. No, it's not. It's going to be a AlphaTauri instead, actually, of ACM Auto. The championship leader is the first out on track on full wet compound tyres as well. Yeah, we're going to have to make sure that the drivers are going to take it easy on this one. But hopefully they do. And like I said, it just means a bit more caution for the drivers to make sure they can keep the car intact and at least get to that finish line, which is going to be the most important thing, of course. I have been given some good news. But well, it's good news for some, I suppose. There is actually a timer on the game, so if the race runs for longer than 2 hours in game, then the timer does come into play, and it will actually end the race on that lap. So similar to real life F1, where we've got, of course, the timer that sort of expires. If, for example, they've had a red flag or something that goes on for too long, if the race goes over 2 hours in game, then it will stop the race on that lap, whichever that lap is, of course. But hopefully we can get through the full complement of laps. At the moment it's raining in qualifying. Hopefully the drivers, nobody's said just yet if it's going to be dry in qualifying. Serious Mushroom has got himself disqualified from the session, which is not good news for Serious Mushroom. But there we go then. We are underway. AC Immortal would be the first driver to get himself onto the timesheet, I suppose, if he can set a valid lap time on this, not this run right now, because this is his out lap. But when he gets to the start finish line now, then he'll be able to begin his the first flying lap, the first hot lap in anger around this circuit. Hopefully, like I was saying, hopefully it is. Hopefully it is dry in the race. We'll have to find out. Yeah, I'm not quite sure. We'll have to wait and see. Let's have a look and see if anybody's popped it in the comment section. Hello and good luck in quali in the rain, says Kaz. Kaz is in the Ferrari, of course, and half of race is wet too, as well, says Serious Mushroom in the comment section. So that's not too bad. So we shouldn't be getting towards that 2-hour limit, I don't think, but nonetheless, I think this is one which I think a few drivers have been a bit scared of. The likes of Gurman and Scooby Stew have decided not to take part tonight at the last minute, and I think that's because they were having a few nerves about the fantastic track that we're racing on tonight. And evening and good luck, says Serious Mushroom as well. Good luck to yourself as well. He's going to be starting from 18th there after having a bit of trouble coming out of the pit lane, it looks like. But starting there from P18 is Serious Mushroom. Kaz there has not come out of the pits just yet. So he can be currently starting in P3, which is not too bad. But of course, nobody has set a competitive lap time just yet as well. So they'll have to get themselves round and get themselves sorted as quickly as possible. Because there is only a finite amount of time in this session. There is 18 minutes for a short qualifying, and of course that doesn't matter whether it's dry or wet. They have to get themselves round, and of course, obviously, like I said, in the wet, the lap times are much longer. I'm not quite sure if Serious Mushroom is listening to me, if he can confirm whether the wet part of the race is at the beginning or at the end, because of course we've got half a race that's going to be dry and then half a race that's going to be wet as well, then that is going to be very difficult for the drivers to deal with as well. And I think, like I said, it's usually quite easier as AC Water comes around the final corner. Usually quite easier to just have a full wet race or a full dry race. AC Water there does a 1:56.3 there as the fastest lap time on the board so far. We've got Bills there, who was on an outlap. Sorry, New Mabro comes around the final corner there to cross the line. He's done a 58.1 there. Lucas Percy there is very close indeed to the pole sitter currently of AC Immortal by less than half a tenth is the Aston Martin. Good stuff indeed. Says half on mine. He's gone off for a dry setup. There has Serious Mushroom. Not quite sure what the weather's doing now, because there's two contradictory comments in the comment section. We don't know whether it's dry, half wet, a third wet, a third dry or not, but hopefully somebody can clarify for us. But like I said, the drivers now get themselves sorted, get themselves round the track. I think Yamabra, they're just trying to get out of the way, I think it was, of a Alpine. But yeah, like I said, everyone's getting themselves set now. It looks like it looks like Serious Mushroom has gone for a dry setup, so potentially we'll have more dry weather in the race than we will have wet weather. That is, we'll have to find out, of course, when we get there. But we'll have to see what the situation is going to be. Is it going to be dries to start with, or is it going to be the wet compound tyres or the inters even for the beginning of the race in just under 12 minutes now, almost 11 minutes now before we get going. Start of the race is rain, says Kaz. So I think it's going to be following on from the situation that we've got right now. Kydell has set a time there of a 2 minute on the dot from the McLaren driver. Good stuff indeed from him. But yeah, like I said, so start at the beginning of the race is going to be a wet start. That's going to be making it very difficult for the drivers for sure. Getting off the line in the dry is difficult enough, as AC Immortal there goes even faster still with the 55.7. They're gaining 6 tenths on that lap. Good stuff indeed from him. Lucas Percy coming back into the pits. Mabro is coming through the tunnel there. I think he's had to back off on this lap. Giro has got himself up into P2. Reflection has decided to retire in the pits as well, so he's not going to take part in the qualifying session. X Gamer crosses the line with a 56.5 there. Good stuff indeed from the Ferrari. Unfortunately missed last week, but he's back once again to put on a show and hopefully get some good points for the Ferrari. He's had a bit of a drift there through the first couple of turns, just waiting for the cars to come through so he can clear himself out of the way. And yeah, unfortunately for X Gamer, well, he's done a good time there. He's put himself up into P3 for now, but unfortunately I think he was trying to go for another run there, and unfortunately that is caused him a bit of trouble there, unfortunately for him. I've said unfortunately about 5,000 times, so I'll try and skip that word now. Gino and Fudge McLaughlin both in P6 and P7 in the Williams, very close indeed as well between the two. So looking good for the Williams team, both in the top 10 as well as it stands. So good stuff indeed. Fanjo, I think, just went into the wall there. I think there was a bit of contact. The car has ghosted, so it usually does that after a bit of contact. But yeah, I think Fanjo there just had a bit of trouble on this lap. Hopefully no damage to the car, and he can continue and at least set a lap time on this lap, or maybe even the next lap as well. 9 minutes left in the session now. We are still motoring our way through the qualifying. Of course, like I said, the qualifying is a defined period of time, so thankfully we don't have to overrun in this qualifying session. We will literally be going to the 18 minutes that have been allocated by Codemasters for our short qualifying, and we'll be into the races. My headset has decided to disconnect, which is fantastic. Good stuff. Thank you very much. Luckily I can still hear what's going on, thankfully. But here comes Ewok Jr. now trying to get past his teammate. I think Sam Green there has just aborted his lap time. Ewok, they're coming through into sector 3 now. And so is the Red Bull of Bills. I think it is. It's Bill. No, it's not Bills. It's Mabro, who is still out on track. But let's have a look at Ewok here. Going to be a painful race, a serious pressure. I don't think so. I think hopefully if it dries up quickly enough, then we should be back onto the lovely dry compound tyres, which will be much faster. Will it be a wet compound tyre that's going to be the start of the race as Bill puts himself up into P4? Good stuff indeed from the Red Bull driver. But yeah, will it be a wet compound start of the race, or will it be inters? We don't know how long it's going to be raining for as well. It might be one of those ones where it dries up quicker than expected. As Ewok there popped himself up into P5. Good stuff indeed. Mabro does improve as well by a second to put himself up into P5. Good stuff indeed from him. Here comes Kydell now up to the line, P7. He displaces Ewok. as Swanshanks there gets himself on the board as well. Sam Green there, he's on the intermediate compound tyres. Let's have a look at that. We need to have a see what compound tyres everybody's on. In the pits, AC Immortal and Lucas Percy are on the intermediates, but they haven't gone out on those intermediates just yet. Sam Green is the only driver on track who has been on track with the intermediate compound tyres that has set a time so far. A 2:06 is not competitive enough for the time being to get himself in the top 10. He needs to gain another 11 seconds or so to get himself up the top there, and I think he'll be having to try and bide his time there. I think Jinner's had a problem there, it looks like, coming through the end, sector 3 now. Luckily he's got the car pointing in the right direction, he's got himself corrected and back underway. Fanjo's having a difficult time there. He's done another lap on these tyres and he's invalidated once again. He's not got a time on the board just yet. Here comes Vintage. He's just starting his lap now, coming down towards sector 2. Kaz is on an out lap here as well. Fanjo just cutting the corners there. I think he's trying to get his way back to the pit lane. So yeah, he's just trying to get himself back to get himself sorted, get another set of tyres on that car, as Baguette has retired from the session in the pits, I think. We have a yellow flag there on the straight, but I think it's just one of the cars getting out of the way of the other drivers on a flying lap, I think. So we'll have a look at Sam Green there, not on a lap just now. McMuffin off the circuit completely there at the that's at the very odd circuit here, very odd corner I should say there, where we saw Lewis and Max I think come together as well. Plenty of times, to be fair. There's plenty of corners on that, so you don't have to worry about that too much. Mercedes of Ewok going very slowly. I think he's just letting people through here. Hopefully he doesn't get himself disqualified. He has let his teammate through there of Sam Green. Of course, on the intermediate compound tyres, Lucas Percy has retired from the session. That is a crash there. It's a crash, I think, for Lucas Percy. Let's have a look on board with Swanshanks. He's gone. Where's he gone? There he is. There is Lucas Percy there on the intermediate compound tyres. It is not the right tyre to be on at the moment, it doesn't look like. That Aston Martin is stricken there in the wall just before the Singapore Sling, if that still existed. But a very nice part of the circuit that was. But I think there was probably, especially with the current gen of cars, I don't think they would have liked that as well, especially with porpoising and then trying to drive over the Singapore Sling. That would have been absolute hell for Lewis Hamilton's back, wouldn't it? So there we go. Yeah, Swanshanks there just taking in the sights. I think Lucas Percy is done and dusted now in his qualifying session. He's not going to be able to improve on that time now. He is out. He will be starting no higher than P2, which is still a good starting position, of course, on the front row. But it gives the opportunity for the drivers behind him to try and leapfrog him now and get ahead into the second spot, or maybe even the top spot of the grid for the start of this race in 5 minutes' time. We've just got a yellow flag in sector 1. It's McMuffin there off the circuit. He's not got a front wing on my screen, which is not good news for him. Hopefully he's all right there. Reflection is, yeah, we've got a few drivers who decided to call it a day so far in the qualifying. Unfortunately, Lucas Percy did not intentionally call it a day, but he has called it a day nonetheless. Here comes Kaz now up to the line. What can he do? He's gone P7 there, 57.529. That's pretty good stuff indeed from Kaz. Very incredible stuff from the Ferrari driver. Let's have a look. A lot more people are now on out laps as well, getting in their final laps, getting their final runs in for this qualifying session. Bills is carrying on. Bills has gone up to P2 there, 56.0 there from the Red Bull driver. Good stuff indeed. Puts him ahead of Lucas Percy now, as that is promoted him up the order. I think he might be able to go for another attempt as well still. He's got time, but I think he might have pulled over now at this stage of the qualifying. Let's have a look and see what everybody else is doing. AC Immortal is on track on the intermediate compound tyres. X-Gamer has gone out on the inters as well, as has Jinner. There's a few more drivers now switching to the intermediate compound tyres. It's still raining quite heavily in the, well, from my point of view anyway, but I'm not quite sure if that would warrant the intermediate compound tyre or not really. We'll have to find out, of course, when they get their lap times in. But they have got just under 4 minutes now to get themselves around on their out lap and get themselves over the line, for their flying lap attempt. But I think most of the drivers now are limiting themselves to just one attempt now to get themselves across the line. Fanjo has gone back out on the intermediate compound tyres, not set a time just yet, and is the only driver who hasn't already retired to not set a time. So looking to see if he can get himself on the board, potentially with the track drying out. If it does dry out and it switches to inters, then a lot of people could be able to jump ahead of Lucas Percy, who is unfortunately out of the qualifying. With a big smash there just before this section here, going into the old Singapore Sling area. The yellow flags in sector 3 now. but it's just a car. I think it's a Red Bull there getting out of the way. So good stuff indeed. But there we are. Ewok there coming through now into the sector, into the third sector, the final sector. Let's have a look and see. I think X Gamer has just started his lap. Kaz has just crossed the line. He's gone up to P5 there as Kaz. Good stuff indeed from him. Now at 56.968 there for the Ferrari driver. Fantastic stuff indeed. I don't know if we're going to be able to hold on to that position though, because there's a lot of drivers now switching on to the intermediates, which might be the preferable tyre. And they might be switching on to the intermediates now to go a bit faster. X Gamer's there. We just saw the end of that. He's had a bit of a difficult time coming through turn 3 on the exit there. He's managed to keep it all together though, and he's getting himself back underway. But I maybe have to abort this lap and try again. I think he's got enough time still to get around on this lap and then get to the finish line. We've got a yellow flag for a Mercedes there. Sam Green trying to warm up his tyres, I think there, but he's managing to get himself going, thankfully, in the right direction. He's causing yellow flags all over the place, though the game does not like him doing that. But there we go. So we'll have to worry about that another time. Here comes McMuffin is in the pits. Vintage is going around the track now into the final couple of corners. Is he going to cross the line or is he going to go into the pits? He's coming around the final corner now, up to the line for Vintage. It's going to be a 1:57.7 there. Puts himself P8. Good stuff indeed from Vintage. That's massively improved from the P13 I think he was in. So good stuff indeed from him. We've got someone coming out the pits now, I think. Is that nothing coming out the pits? I think he might have run out of time there. I don't think he'll be out in enough time to get himself across the line to start his lap, unfortunately for him. So we'll have to come back to him there. We have an AlphaTauri of AC Immortal, I think it is, coming around the final corner now. Let's see what he can do here, coming across the final turn, across the line. It's a 55.1 there. Confirms himself on the pole position for now. A fantastic lap time indeed. Almost 1 second faster than Bills in P2 at this stage of the qualifying. There's still, like I said, 1 minute to go. Time for him to go again, actually, for AC Immortal, if he can push on and maybe even go for another lap time here as well. X Gamer has just let his teammate through. Kaz has not been able to improve on this lap, so he's staying in P5 for now. Here comes Jinner, I think it is. Jinner across the line. What's it going to be? It's going to be P2 for Jinner. Fantastic time indeed. 55.8 there puts him comfortably into P2 for the time being. Really good stuff from the Williams driver as well. Not looking to, looking to get himself as far up the order as he can, obviously. As Fanjo now has displaced him, unfortunately. There he's now into P2 as Fanjo. 55.5 from the Haas driver. Good stuff indeed from him as well. But Jinner there on a supreme qualifying performance at the moment. Looking good for him and for the Williams team. Ewok Jr. has jumped up to P4 there. Good stuff from him ahead of Bills, who has just finished a lap as well. I think those wet compound tyres are now not the right compound tyre to be on anymore, unfortunately. I think X Gamer could start another lap here. He has been able to start another lap, which is good stuff indeed from him. Kaidel is on the wet compound tyre still, so I don't think he'll be able to improve too much. As is Kaz, who's dropped down to 9th place now. A lot of people have displaced him. Sam Green has jumped up to P2 with a 55.5. Good stuff indeed from him. He's just over half a tenth, I should say, ahead of Fanjo now in P3. But that is his qualifying done and dusted, whereas other drivers are still carrying on their flying laps. So he might still be losing positions at the end of this one. Vintage is back into the pits. So that is that for him as well. I think it's the AC Immortal AlphaTauri, I should say, coming around the final corner now. Let's see if he can improve. A 55.1 there for the AlphaTauri as it stands up to the line. It's going to be an improvement. It's a 53.8 there by 1.2 seconds. He's absolutely blitzed the previous lap time and is now almost he's 1.6 seconds ahead of P2 in the qualifying stage. That is fantastic stuff indeed from Immortal. Puts him comfortably on pole position with a absolutely stonking lap time as well. Great stuff indeed from the AlphaTauri driver, and that should cement his pole position. I would hasten to guess. We'll have to find out though. Of course, here comes Jinner now round the final corner up to the line. It's P2 for Jinner at 54.9 there. Good stuff indeed from him. Let's have a look and see what the Red Bull can do. It is the Red Bull of Umabro, who's put himself P2 as well. 54.4 there, just a tenth of a second, but he's been displaced once again by Fanjo. The times are tumbling now in this one. He's just under. Wow, it's very close indeed between Fanjo and Immortal, actually. I thought Immortal had that covered, but it is very close indeed. Umabro in P3, Jinner in P4, Ewok in P6. He's coming across the line now. Can he get himself further up the order? No, not quite. Bills has retired in the pits, so his session is done and dusted. Kaidel has across the line in P8. Lucas Percy is all the way down in P9 now. X-Gamer puts himself on pole position though, and that is a 53.5 there from the Ferrari driver. Fantastic lap time. He lost control there coming across the line as well, but the game took control for him. He's got the pole position. What a lap from the Ferrari. That is absolutely epic from X-Gamer there. Really good stuff indeed from him as well, displacing the championship leader of AC Immortal as well. Really good stuff indeed. And Gamer says Serious Mushroom there. Gamer there, very happy with Fanjo's time as well, of course, in the Haas. Sorry. But the Gamer there blitzing his way to the pole position. What a fantastic lap there from Gamer. Really good stuff, and sets him in a good position, of course, for the start of the race, which will be coming up in just a few seconds time now. But blimey, that was a lap and a half there from Gamer. We didn't see that pace before in any of the previous rounds, and now look what he's done around Singapore. He's got to keep it together now for 61 laps. Just needs to make sure he keeps that concentration. Hopefully he doesn't get a five-place grid penalty here as well for driving into that Mercedes. But there we go, the qualifying is done and dusted here. We'll have a look at the classification in just a few seconds time. Yeah, that is exciting. That's going to be exciting as well for the race as well. Lucas Percy is going to make his way through the field. There we go. X-Gamer is your pole sitter there in the Ferrari. A fantastic lap time, like I said, on the last gasp as well of qualifying. AC Immortal there looked like he had it all wrapped up there in P2, but he was in P1, now in P2 with X-Gamer's time there. Fanjo in P3, Yamabro in P4, Jinner there in P5. A fantastic qualifying for the Williams driver as well. Mercedes of Sam Green in P6. Ewok there follows behind in P7. Bills there on the wet compound tyres, P8. Kydell as well on the wets in P9. Lucas Percy there didn't get to time back in on the inters, so now in P10 on the wets. Swanshanks, Kaz, Vintage, Fudge McMuffin are all set their time as well from P11 to P14. And then unfortunately we had the likes of Dan Murphy, Reflection, Baguette and Serious Mushroom not being able to get a time in on the board. The last corner was really scary, says X-Gamer in the comment section. Yeah, it looked like it was going to be really scary. We just caught the end of it when the car sort of corrected itself. But luckily you've got that pole position all wrapped up. It looks like there is no rain in the pit lane on my screen, which is good news. So there is potentially a dry, we're going to have a dry start. We were told it was going to be a very wet start, but potentially the rain will be coming later on in the race instead now. Yeah, so we were told it's going to be a wet start, but now it looks like it could be a dry one. Serious Mushroom might have got the call right here. They're starting on the dry setup, or using the dry setup, I should say, because you can't really change your setup anymore now. Once you've gone out in qualifying, that is it. Your setup is locked in. You can make adjustments to the front wing and the tyre pressures, but that's about it really now. You used to be able to change your setup and do quite a lot more, but there we go. We are ready for the start of this race now. We're getting underway. The cars now all lined up on the grid. Formation lap, of course, will be underway as we'll take you through the grid order from the back to the front, I should say. Let's have a look. We don't need that. Do we need that? No, we don't really. We'll keep that all off there, makes it easier. So yeah, dry compound tyres for the start of the race, which is heaven to some people, I think, to some drivers' ears and eyes. I think they'll be very keen on this one. It looks like it's going to be a 4-stop strategy, it looks like, compared to, according to the graphic there, but I'm not quite sure if that's going to be correct. It was saying 1 set of mediums and then 3 stops for softs. Yeah, I'm sure that'll be an interesting strategy if you choose to do that. Some drivers have not chosen to do that, of course. They've chosen to start on the hard compound tyres, but we'll run through the grid order now. Serious Mushroom there starting from P18, of course, didn't get out in qualifying, and that was the best he could do there, starting on the medium compound tyres. And what happened to the rain, says Serious Mushroom in the comment section. Is the rain out? I'm not quite sure. Hopefully it stays away, because then we can have a much quicker race for you guys as well. But nonetheless, we'll have to crack on and just take it as it comes. Hopefully everyone can battle their way through. Baguette there in P17 there, of course, didn't set a time either, unfortunately, in qualifying. Both on the medium compound tyres is Baguette and Serious Mushroom, as is Reflection in P16 and Dan Murphy in P15, of course, opting not to set a time as usual. Then we've got Fudge McMuffin. I don't think he had a competitive qualifying, unfortunately for him. He is starting in P14 on the medium compound tyres, as is Vintage there in the Alpine P13. Kaz in P12, sorry, I should say, on the medium compound tyres in the Ferrari, and then Swanshanks just outside the points in the Alfa Romeo on the medium compound tyres. So everybody outside the top 10 on the mediums. Then we've got Lucas Percy there, had a bit of a difficult qualifying, starting in P10 now on the hard compound tyres in the Aston Martin, looking to go forward, looking to go long in the first stint. Kydell there in P9 on the mediums as well. Bills in P8 on the mediums. Also Ewok Jr. and then Sam Green in P7 and P6 for the Mercedes team, both on the medium compound tyres. Then Jidder starting on the hard compound tyres in P5 in the Williams. A fantastic qualifying from him. Imabro there in the Red Bull on the mediums as well in P4. Fanjo in P3 on the hard compound tyres. That's an interesting strategy call there from the from one of the race candidate winners, I should say, really. And then we've got the front row, AC Immortal there on mediums, and your pole sitter of X Gamer in the Ferrari on the medium compound tyres. Good stuff indeed. We are getting ready to get underway. I think we're just waiting for Serious Mushroom to line himself up on the grid. And we will be getting those 5 red lights on here in Singapore for the first time, for round 4 of the 100% League. Here come the lights then. 5 red lights are on in Singapore. The 5 red lights are off in Singapore, and away we go. And X Gamer there gets it looks like a slow start there from X Gamer, but he's managed to get away in the second phase very nicely indeed. He's leading Immortal there and Fanjo through. Umabro, they're trying to stick a nose down the inside of Fanjo as well. Fanjo losing places now to the medium runners. Umabro's got himself up into P3. I think the hard compound tyres, they're just trying to warm themselves up. Will take a bit more time than the mediums, of course, but Fanjo's got the pace in this race to get himself, keep himself in the order, and of course keep himself in this fight for the race as well. Into turn 4 we go. Always contact there. I think it was Lucas Percy off the circuit. He's gone off the circuit there. He's spun. I think he's got a front wing damage over. It's a bit of an end plate there that was moving around. I think he's lost the left end plate there on that Aston Martin, I should say. Unfortunately for him, Baguette now and Serious Mushroom are stuck behind. Lucas Percy will try to push on. He's trying to push on now on those hard compound tyres. He's the biggest loser, unfortunately, so far on the first lap of this race. But like I said, I think we'll have to come into the pits and sort that wing out. Now I think Baguette is letting Serious Mushroom through as well. Hopefully Baguette has not got any damage as well. Thankfully, it doesn't look like it on my screen. Dan Murphy going through the over the bridge there, and he's lost positions as well. He's had a spin. Jinner has had a spin as well. It looks like coming a cropper there on the hard compound tyres. Bills is also dropping down the order. Hopefully he's I don't know what's happened to Bills there. Unfortunately, he's losing positions hand over fist now. He's just letting people through. He doesn't look like he's got any damage either, so hopefully he can continue. Serious Mushroom is just letting people out of the way now. Unfortunately for Serious Mushroom, that is not good for his race. Dan Murphy, they're just recovering as well. He's got the end plate damage. Both the Aston Martins have got damage. Are they both going to have to pit at the end of this lap? That is not good news. So hopefully one of them can hear me at least, and one of them will not pit and one of them will. But it's going to hamper their lap time either way. Unfortunately for both the Aston Martin drivers, Lucas Percy is coming into the pits. He is the first Aston Martin on track, of course. He needs to make sure he slows himself down before the pit lane. Dan Murphy is coming in as well, so they're going to have to double stack there at Aston Martin. Big shame there, but of course plenty of time left in this race for them to make up positions and make up places. I'm sure we will see some more movers and shakers in this one, but there we go. So yeah, we'll come back to that one. Out in the lead now. The top 5 are all cruising. It looks like Ewok has been dropped, unfortunately, from this battle. Fudge McMuffin has got himself all the way up to P8 there from P14. Good stuff indeed from the Williams driver. Getting through past Swanshanks as well into turn 5 and 6. Good stuff from him. Getting himself into the order as well. Trying to catch up now to the McLaren. We've got a yellow flag of... I think is it Lucas Percy? I think it must have been Lucas Percy because Dan's not out of the pits just yet. Lucas Percy, they're having a bit of trouble coming out of the pit exit, it looks like. Hopefully, has that cost him a left end plate again? He's on the soft compound tyres now this time. Let's have a look. I think that end plate is still missing. If it is, maybe it is on my screen. Yes, he's lost the left end plate again on that side. Kaz has got past Swanshanks now for P10. Swanshanks dropping down the order, Reflection getting through as well up into the points as the McLaren driver. Good stuff indeed from him. Yeah, I'm not quite sure what happened to Lucas there. It seems like he had a bit of a problem coming out the pit lane. Bills and Jinner battling away. Bills has got through now on the medium compound tyres. He's going to have a bit more grip at this stage of the race even, I think. The hard compound tyre is still going to be trying to warm up in this phase. Almost close to the wall there was Jinner as well. He needs to make sure he keeps that car out of the wall, as does Lucas Percy. But like I said, I hope it doesn't mean that he's going to have to make another pit stop. If it does, I think he'd be able to... yeah, there's definitely end plate damage there on that Aston Martin. Dan Murphy's he's got his end plate sorted. Maybe they didn't replace the front wing. That's what I'm thinking actually in terms of the pit stop. They didn't actually change the front wing, which is very horrible from Codemasters. It's happened to me before as well. It is an absolute pain. because you have to make another pit stop, that is. Gino is into the pits though. I think he might have had a bit of a collision with the wall there. That right end plate is missing on that Williams. Unfortunately for Gino, started in P5, had a fantastic qualifying, and it's not going too well for him at this stage of the race. But of course, there's plenty of laps still to come. Lucas Percy, I think, will have to come back into the pits. Vintage has got past, Bills has got past Vintage that way round, as Lucas Percy is back into the pit lane again. Hopefully, he can get himself back into the back on to a new front wing. I know it's quite difficult to change the settings in this one as well, trying to get the front wing changed whilst you're on the fly. Here comes AC Immortal though. Can he get himself past the pole sitter and the leader, of course, in the first 3 laps of X Gamer? DRS has been enabled now, so if you're within 1 second, you can use that DRS to get the move done, or hopefully get the move done, because sometimes it doesn't help. Sam Green has got himself past Fanjo. Fanjo is still on those hard compound, the only one now on the hard compound tyres. Everybody else is on the mediums, having made some pit stops as well further down the order. The hard compound runners who did start this race, Ginner, Lucas Percy as well, have had to switch to the medium compound tyres. Fanjo is now the sole hard compound tyre runner, and that will mean that he's got a bit more of a, well, potentially he's got a bit more of an option when he comes to pit as well, because he'll have less laps to do at his pit stop phase. So yes, we've got a battle on our hands now for the lead of the race. We've got X Gamer and AC Immortal. AC Immortal, the championship leader, is going to be trying to line up a move to take P1 in this race. He's all over the back now of that Ferrari, really trying to push that Ferrari to making a mistake. But X Gamer just needs to keep it clean, keep it calm. Even if he loses the place, he's still on for a good points haul. So there's nothing to worry about for X Gamer at this stage of the race, and like I said, it can all come back to him as well. Here comes AC Immortal now down at the outside into turn 4. Oh, it's tight indeed. Very close indeed between the Ferrari and the AlphaTauri. Around the inside now, here comes as he's managed to hold on to position. Has X Gamer fantastic defending there. I think there was a bit of contact at turn 4. But nonetheless, they've managed to get themselves through unscathed, and this has brought Yamabro into the battle as well. Yamabro doing a great job here in P3 now. Of course, it was the first points of the season for Yamabro in round 3 in Mexico. In P7 he finished. So looking to really capitalise on that and make sure he keeps on form in this one so far. He's doing a good job staying in the podium places and staying with the top 2 as well, with the DRS helping that as well. Fanjo staying within the range of Sam Green, who's dropped off the back of the top 3 now. We did see the top 5 sort of having a battle. Now it's down to become a top 3, but we'll have to wait and see if that changes as well later on in this race. 4 laps have been completed. There is still 54, 56, 57 laps to go. Quite a few laps to go, don't worry. Hopefully the drivers can keep the concentration up and keep going as well in this one. It's going to be a long one, of course, the longest race of the season, but everyone is doing a fantastic job, and they've done a fantastic job so far in qualifying as well. So credit to everybody who's going to be sticking in this race for the long haul. Lucas Percy is doing a good job as well. He's had to make 2 pit stops already in this race, one because they didn't change the front wing and one for a front wing change, and that has really put him in a difficult spot. Here comes Kaidel now down the inside into turn 1. He's gotten the move done on Ewok Jr. for P6. McLaren has moved up in the order. Ewok, of course, is going to stay as close as he can to the McLaren, to maybe try and get a move back and have a battle here for P6. But of course, the battling will cost them time, and they've got quite a bit of a queue behind them as well now. Looks like the battle. We've got yellow flag in sector 2. It's an Aston Martin. Unfortunately, it's Lucas Percy there having trouble. Once again, unfortunately for the Aston Martin, it's not going well for him. He's got everything intact, thankfully, so maybe it's just a spin. Serious Mushroom's got himself past Baguette into turn 4. He's got the move done, sorry. Good stuff indeed. But yeah, Lucas Percy, thankfully, has not got any wing damage on this occasion. So I think it was just a bit of a spin there coming through over the curbs, potentially in the end of or in the middle of sector 2. So hopefully he can get himself back underway. He's only lost a couple of seconds to his teammate and to the rest of the order as well. Vintage has got past Swanshanks now for P12, getting himself nicely up the order. So Vintage there, of course, we saw him getting passed by Bills. Bills is in this train now, I should say, between all the way from P6 basically down to P11. So there's plenty of drivers here trying to vie for positions. Like I said, they've got to take their time and bide their time, of course, because there's plenty of laps to go in this one. Plenty of positions still to change. But I've just seen that the second half, Poland and Argentina has kicked off. Good stuff indeed. But we don't care about that. We want to watch ALR. So there we go. AC Immortal still hasn't got past the Ferrari of X Gamer. I think X Gamer doing a fantastic job here to defend from the AlphaTauri, the championship leader. Like I said earlier, he's not having an easy feat of getting himself into the lead of this race after the qualifying as well. X Gamer has got the he's on form now. As X Gamer, he's got the pace. He knows where the grip is and where the performance is as well for that Ferrari. Hopefully, a Ferrari can get a nice win here. Ewok Jr. there, just staying within DRS range now with Kydell. Kydell doing a good job there at the moment. Let's have a look at the position changes because Kydell was up 3 places there. Good stuff indeed from him. Biggest loser as well so far, unfortunately, is Jenner, who started in P5. Like I said, he's down to P16 at this stage, having made a pit stop for a front wing change, which is a big shame for Jenner, but hopefully he can get himself back in this race. Like I said, from qualifying, he showed that he has the pace in this one to get himself up the order. So we'll see if they can use that pace in this race as well. But like I said, it's not all doom and gloom so far for the Williams and for the Aston Martins as well. They can get themselves back in this one. If there's a safety car or anything like that, that will help them as well. But all 3 of them have shown that they've got the pace to get themselves up the order in this one. They've got unbelievable racecraft as well. So, it's going very deep there was Fanjo. Looked like he was going to go in the back of the Mercedes there, but he's managed just to avoid that. And thankfully, no harm done. Here comes Reflection and Kaz. They're very close indeed on track, but no moves are made just yet. Ewok Jr. has dropped out of the battle here for P6 now. He's now got Fudge McMuffin, Kaz, Reflection, Bills, all putting the pressure on. This battle here might bring Vintage and Swanshanks as well as Serious Mushroom and get into the fray. So we'll have to find out if that continues for any further duration as well. But it looks like Fudge McMuffin will probably try and line up a move very shortly on that Mercedes to get himself past and unlock his pace a bit more. In the lead of the race through to turn 3, Kaz has got a penalty there. Unfortunately, it's the first penalty of the evening. We saw Kaz unfortunately get disqualified from Mexico last week with the penalties. Here comes AC Immortal now. The gap is just under 0.2 of a second. Let's have a look on board. Can he make a move now on the Ferrari driver into turn 4? The red light is flashing for X Gamer. He's really trying his best to keep the lead of this race. He's been pushed. He's pushed the AlphaTauri wide there, but he's lost the place there, unfortunately. I think. Oh, he's coming back. He's gone for the switch back there. No, it's AC Immortal who's got the lead of the race now, I think. Oh, it's still tight between the 2 of them. Let's have a look here. No, it's just too tight, unfortunately, for both of them now. AC Immortal takes the lead of the race. Good stuff indeed from him. Jenner picks up a penalty as well. Unfortunately for Jenner, that is compounding his bad luck so far this race. But yeah, great move there from AC Immortal to get himself through. X Gamer doesn't have to worry too much. He can just sit behind now and bide his time, save some ERS as well. Reflection has got past Kaz there for P9 there, getting himself up the order. Good stuff indeed. Good move there from Reflection as well. And now that releases him slightly as well. Ewok has been passed by Fudge McMuffin. Now Fudge going to try and get himself away from the battle behind the group of cars, that a gaggle of cars that are trying to chase him down now with the DRS. Lucas Percy sets the fastest lap of the race. That just underlines the pace that Aston Martin has got. And he has just had a bit of bad luck so far in this race as well. But nonetheless, I'm sure he will come back and put on a fight in this one. But like I said, it's just going to have to bide his time for the time being. That is, wait for the drivers to make some mistakes, or wait for the other drivers to, of course, make their pit stops as well, because they have nobody yet has made any pit stops apart from the likes of Jidder, Dan Murphy, and Lucas Percy. Everybody else has carried on from the start of the race so far. So that is that. X Gamer has lost out DRS now to AC Immortal, I should say. He might just be back in it there. He might have just been able to grab hold of it. We'll have a look. But no, I think he's just out of DRS range now. Unfortunately, he's the Ferrari. So AC Immortal really trying to push on and break that DRS gap. Fanjo's got himself back past Sam Green now for P4. We'll see if Sam Green can make any moves now into turn 4. But I think he's too far back to make a late move there. Unfortunately, Sam Green's going to have to bide his time and try and get himself through at a later stage. But here comes this battle here. The middle field, just outside the points and just inside the points as well. This is where the battle is at the moment. There's about 4 or 5 cars there trying to battle for the last points-paying positions. And yeah, like I said, Bills has joined this battle as well. So it looks like Ewok, Reflection, Kaz, and Bills all trying to battle for that those last few points. Unfortunately for Ewok, he's lost DRS now. As Baz has got past Kaz, as Bills has got past Kaz, I should say. Sorry. That would have been very confusing if we had a Baz in here as well. But Bills has got past Kaz there, so that is reduced the arrears now for Bills. He's put himself up into P10, into the points as well. Good stuff indeed from him. Lucas Percy once again sets the fastest lap of the race. He's really going for it on those medium compound tyres now, trying to get himself in the into the fray. And he's not far off. He's not far off, to be honest. I think, like I said, a pit stop or two for the other drivers, and he will be getting himself through. Swan Sanction's being passed now by Sirius Marshall down the back straight, really, the mini straight. Between sector 2 and sector 3, he's got himself up into P13 now. Good stuff indeed from him. So now just getting himself back underway. Unfortunately, like I said, Ewok has lost DRS now to McMuffin in P7, so that means that he's now going to be under more pressure from Reflection and from Bills. Kaz has just dropped out of DRS range as well, with the top two ahead of him, I should say. Oh, what is that? Is that a pit entry? That is a very odd pit entry from my point of view, as Kaz there bumping his way into the pit. He's managed to make it through just about. Vintage has followed him as well. But is this time for the mediums? Are they calling it a day now on the medium compound tyres? It is starting to rain. DRS has been disabled. That is a great call from Kaz then. Blimey, I didn't even see it was raining. So Vintage onto the inters as well. Looks like Swan Shanks is coming in, as is Baguette. So that is it. They're calling it a day now on the dry compound tyres. Baguette is double stacking here behind her teammate as well, and it looks like Swan Shanks unfortunately go for a wing change, and that is going to cost Baguette a bit more time. But yeah, the intermediate tyres are being put on by most of the drivers now. Jenner is coming back in the pits as well. It looks like Dan Murphy is coming in too. So yeah, the inters are the tyre now. It's already, look how quickly it's changed. It's really changed between the dry compound tyre to the inters in a split second. Fando, they're starting on the hard compound tyres. I don't know, maybe he's not quite sure if he knew it was going to rain at this stage of the race. It's 9 laps in and we've got rain falling from the sky. It's definitely falling from the sky. Yellow flag as Kaidel has had a spin there. It looks like at the exit of the hairpin. It's dropped him down a few positions there, unfortunately, for the McLaren driver, putting him behind his teammate as well. So if they do double stack for the wet compound tyres or the intermediate compound tyres, then that will cost him. He's having trouble there, slowing the car down even under the under brakes as AC Morgan picks up a 3-second penalty there for something. I think he's coming out the stadium section there, under the stadium section. Into the pits he goes as X Games follows him in as well. Yellow flags elsewhere on the circuit. It looks like Fudge McMuffin is off the circuit as well, pushing too hard, going under the stands, and unfortunately that has cost him the positions. Also, it looks like the same thing has happened for him as Kaidel. Ewok Jr. Everybody's in the pits now. It looks like everybody's just coming in. You have to come in now. It's too long of a lap to stay out and risk it on the dry compound tyres. You can already see the drivers are having too much of a problem trying to just keep it on the circuit as Reflection has spun in the pit entry and being disqualified. That is rubbish. Well, that's our first driver out of this race. I don't understand why that. He was just trying to correct the car there as Reflection has been disqualified for apparently blocking the pit entry, but all he was doing was trying to sort himself out and get himself into the pits. Everybody now switching on to the intermediate compound tyres. Sirius Russian, the last of the drivers to do so. And yeah, that's a big shame for Reflection. He was doing well. He was in the points, and like I said, it's just a bit of an odd one that I'm really upset there for on Reflection's behalf. I think Codemaster should have done a better job there of sorting themselves out and letting Reflection race. But nonetheless, unfortunately, we're going to have to carry on without Reflection now. It's no fault of his own. Absolutely no blame attached to Reflection on that one. It was just an error by the game. Unfortunately, that has put him out of this race as X-Gamer now is back within the DRS range. Of course, there's no DRS available now that the rain has started to fall. But Reflection has left the session. Yeah, I feel very sorry there for Reflection. There's nothing he could do about that, and it was just a real shame that the game decided to just to get rid of him basically, because it was definitely not intentional, and he was just trying to get himself sorted and get himself into the pits to put on the intermediate compound tyres. And unfortunately, that has for some reason disqualified him, and that is him out of this race, which is like I said, a big shame, because he was doing really well. He was up in the points paying positions. He was ahead of his teammate, ahead of McMuffin and Bills, and Vintage as well, and Kaz. So I think he would have been actually in P7 if he was able to complete his pit stop. X-Gamer there sliding out of the penultimate turn. Unfortunately for X-Gamer, that's lost him a lot of time now. He's put himself under pressure from UMAD and it looks like AC Immortal now getting himself up together, up to speed, and get himself away from the Ferrari now. Elsewhere, the gaps have sort of stabilised, to be fair, which is probably quite good actually in the wet weather conditions. Everybody has decided to just take their time now in these conditions as well. Mapro is the closest battle on track with the second place driver of X Gamer, our pole sitter as well. X Gamer is having a bit of trouble there at the moment in this race. It looked like DRS was enabled for that Red Bull, but maybe it's just the shape of the rear wing. But thankfully, no DRS is enabled at the moment. Hopefully, no cars have got cheats. But there we go. So hopefully they're all right. I think the problem with having DRS in the wet is that obviously trying to slow the car down in the braking zone is a lot more difficult when you're having to basically apply the extra speed, of course, that you're gaining on the car in front. So that is why the DRS is not enabled in wet conditions. And of course the FIA director will determine whether it's too wet or dry enough for the DRS to be enabled or disabled, of course. So yeah, that is that. Bills is now trying to put the pressure on Vintage into the second sector. It looks like he's going to be trying to line up a move now on that Alpine. They're going to go side by side into the Singapore sling section, which is not a good section to go side by side in, especially in the wet. But Bills has got the move done before the braking zone there. He's up into P8 now. Good stuff indeed from him. He's going to bear down, try and catch up with Kaz, who of course has got a penalty to his name. So AC Immortal, we'll have a look at the penalty very quickly. AC Immortal, Kaz, Kaidel's got a 5 second, I think, for speeding in the pit lane there. I didn't see that pop up. And Jenner as well has got a 3 second. So the 3 drivers with a 3 second penalty there for track warnings, or track limits. And then I think, unfortunately for Kaidel, he's got a 5 second for speeding in the pit lane, which will have to be served when he next pits, or if he does go to the end of the race on this set of tyres, then he will be it will be added to his race time at the end of the race as well. There we go then. Well, it's calmed down a little bit now. So now that it's got wet, it's calmed down a tiny bit. So that's well, I suppose it's good in a way. It's not too good in some other ways, but like I said, we'll have to just bide our time. I think it will either we'll have to wait and see, but it will either get worse, which means that I think there'll be much more pit activity very shortly, or it will start drying out again, and then we'll be back to the dry compound tyres. So with 12 laps in, we started on the dries, of course. We did about 9 laps, and then it just instantly switched to intermediates, literally from without any warning really. It was just somebody came into the pit straight away, and then it started raining, and they put on the inters. So that was that. It was a good call from Kaz actually, who was the first driver to pit for the intermediate compound tyres there, and he has benefited there. He's got himself up into P7 as well, and he's not too far behind Ewok Jr. as well in the Mercedes in P6. So good stuff indeed from Kaz. But yeah, like I said, it's a very long lap time around here. We'll have a look at the fastest lap so far. The fastest lap is, of course, Lucas Percy. That was set on the medium compound tyres of 1:42, and of course the lap times now will be massively extended because of the Vintage. Is Vintage just having a problem? I think Vintage just had a problem there coming through into turn 7, I think it is. Unfortunately for Vintage, that's cost him a place to McMuffin, but he's still within the points paying position, so good stuff indeed from Vintage. You can keep going and try and keep after the Williams of McMuffin, to pull himself back in this race. But yeah, unfortunately for Vintage, they just had a bit of an issue there coming through into sector 2, sorry. But yeah, like I was saying, the lap times are massively extended around here. We'll have to have a look and see. Let's put the telemetry on a little bit and see what AC Immortal is going to be doing as he crosses the line. No, we won't. We'll have to see what Fandor is going to be doing, because all the top 3 have crossed the line already. It's a 1:56 there from Fandor. So that is, like I said, not too quick indeed. And like, well, 1:42 is the fastest lap already this race, and that was set by Lucas Percy. So if it doesn't rain anymore, if it doesn't go back to dry, that is, then the fastest lap will go to Lucas Percy at 1:59 there from Ewok Jr.'s. Kaz has got another penalty there. He's coming into the pits once again. He's got a 3 second penalty on the pit entry, it looks like. So yeah, that is a bit of a shame there for Kaz. He's into the pits there to change onto the wet compound tyres. We saw him make the first call to go onto the intermediate compound tyres. Is this going to be a strategical masterclass once again from the Ferrari driver? He got the call right for going on the inters. We'll have to see if he gets the call right to go on to the wets this time. So he's going to come out ahead, I think, of Baguette in P13. He just needs to make sure he gets himself out of the pit lane safe and sound as well. He will be ahead of the Alfa Romeo of Baguette, but yeah, P13 there for Kaz, and it's going to be an interesting one, this one, because like I said, we will have a if it goes to the full wets, I think Kaz, that's what he's hoping for now, especially now that he's put the wet combine tyres on as well. But if it goes to full wets, we do have a 2-hour time limit on this race, and that will be enforced by the game. So once we reach a 2-hour limit of the race, then it will basically be the final lap. Whenever we get to that 2-hour mark, that will be the final lap, and that will end there. So we'll have to stay tuned and just double check on how long I've been streaming, to be honest, because I can't quite tell. But yeah, like I said, it's been an epic race so far. Kaz is now trying to bring the gap down to Serious Mushroom. Let's see if that gap does come down. It's staying quite stable at the moment. I'm not quite sure if the wet compound tyres are the right tyre. Oh, it is coming down now, so maybe he's right here. Maybe I think he's got the call just about. Maybe it's a bit early for the wets just now, but maybe in a lap or two they might be the right compound of tyre to be going on to. So Kaz there doing a good job there of being the strategy masterclass. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see if everybody else decides to jump onto those tyres as well. AC Immortal, X Gamer, Yamabro, Fanjo, and Sam Green have all carried on, as has Ewok. Bills has carried on as well. Let's see if the Williams of Fudge McMuffin will come into the pits. Nope, he's also staying out as well. Vintage is staying out, as is Kai Dell. So yeah, the top 10 all staying out at the moment. So nobody following Kaz into the pits just yet. He's not made the right call according to them, but he's keeping the gap stable there to Serious Mushroom. So maybe potentially in a lap or two, if it does carry on raining, although it looks like on my screen there it's drying out a bit. So hopefully that's not going to be the right call for Kaz. Serious Mushroom there is in P12, is carrying on as well. Obviously Kaz is carrying on, having just pitted for the wet. Everybody else is carrying on as well. The gap between Lucas Percy and Gino. Look at this. Lucas Percy was about 40 seconds behind, and he's now got the gap down to about what is that, about 14, 15. That is an epic drive there from Lucas Percy. He's had a very difficult start to this race, but like I said, we're only about a quarter of the way through, and he's almost got the gap down to that he's within the train, within the queue. So I think actually at this pace, at this rate, Lucas Percy could be in the points in this race, and it won't be. I don't even think it will be just 1 point as well. I think he can get himself up into maybe the P6 or P5 sort of echelons and get some good points for the Aston Martin team. So I don't think it's all over for Lucas Percy. He's done a fantastic job of staying in this race as well. Good stuff from him. Kaz there has brought the gap down now to Serious Mushroom. It's now 4.5. It was just over 5 on the beginning of this lap. So potentially we could be seeing the wet compound tyres being the right compound tyre to be on now. Is there anybody coming into the pits? Let's have a look. I don't think so, not just yet anyway. We have got, is that a Williams of no, it's somebody else. It's Sam Green. No, it's Ewok, sorry. Coming around into the final turn, but he is carrying on the intermediate compound tyres for now. Closest battle on track at the moment now. Gino is caught up to the queue, is between himself and Baguette there for P14. Gino has done a good job there of getting himself back in this race, as has the likes of Dan Murphy and Lucas Percy as well, of course. But Baguette will not be a easy move to make to try and get past that Alfa Romeo. Sorry. So, like I said, he's going to have to bide his time and wait for an opportunity, always sliding his way through on the exit staging section. Like I said, trying to push too hard, I think. A lot of drivers, like I said, just need to keep the concentration, because, like I said, there's still plenty of laps left in this race. And, of course, just making sure you get to the finish line is of paramount importance in any 100% race, of course. And, like I said, it's good practice as well, in my opinion. When I used to do 100% races, unfortunately, I can't now because I'm commentating on them instead. But when I used to do 100% races, I found them really good, because then when I did the 50% race, I could blitz through it very easily. I knew exactly where the grip was and that sort of thing. I knew the conditions, because I've done 100% races where the conditions changed regularly, that sort of thing. And then yeah, when it got to 50% races, it wasn't too bad. So that is why I did race in the 100% races, and I think that's why it's quite good for the drivers who are racing right now as well. Yellow flag in sector 2. It is for a McLaren, I think. No, it might be for Vintage, unfortunately for Vintage. No, it's McMuffin. McMuffin is off the circuit over the bridge there. He's managed to get himself going once again. He's got his front wing intact as well, it looks like. Oh, we've got a Kydell spinning as well there. Both of them having a bit of trouble there, it looks like, in the last few corners, and that has cost them both positions as well. Swanshanks can't quite capitalise just yet. I don't think he can, unfortunately. He's too far back now as Kydell keeps hold of the points there. McMuffin there and Kydell both having problems there coming across the bridge in sector 2, and unfortunately that's cost him. Vintage has got past both of them now. Up into P8 is Vintage. Good stuff indeed from him. He's doing a very good and consistent Vintage type of drive, which is the classic Vintage that we're used to as well. And yeah, we know what he's like in terms of the driving ability of Vintage. He keeps it clean, keeps it tidy, and gets to the finish line, and that is exactly what you need to do in a 100% race. So good stuff indeed. Kydell there just trying to keep on the tails now of the Williams. Swanshanks is also in this battle now as well for the final points paying positions. Looks like Serious Mushroom will be trying to gain on them as well. Kaz has got the gap down to 4.3 now to Serious Mushroom, so it is slowly coming down. I don't think it's coming down quick enough to warrant a change for the top 12, or the rest of the drivers actually, who are all on the intermediate compound tyres at this stage of the race. But potentially, like I said, if it rains a bit harder for the next couple of laps or so, then potentially Kaz has got the call right here, and like I said, he's not doing too badly in terms of keeping the gap down so that he can make that stop. Lucas Percy's in the pits. He's got a gap down to 4 seconds now to his teammate Dan Murphy there. That's pretty good indeed. Sector 1 yellow flags, and that is for, who is that for? Don't know. It might be Jinner actually. Jinner's gone off the circuit there, unfortunately. Jinner, it must have been Jinner actually, yeah, because Dan Murphy's got himself past, and that is not good news there for the Williams driver. He's got hopefully he can get himself back through, but has he got any wing damage there on that Williams car? Yellow flags as well. Fudge McMuffin, concentration here, it needs to be key now. You're going to keep the concentration levels up. Fudge McMuffin is now out of the points, unfortunately. Serious Mushroom moving up into P11. AC Immortals into the pits onto the wet compound tyres. So here comes Kaz. I think Kaz, this is why a few people are having their incidents. I think unfortunately for them, this is because the wet compound tyres are now the right tyre to be on. Kaz has brought that gap down now massively to Serious Mushroom and to Fudge McMuffin. Of course, Fudge McMuffin having a few spins into the pits as well is Sam Green. Looking to capitalise on this one as well. 17 laps have been completed. We started on dries as Bill's picked up a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane as Ewok there carries on there. He's got himself past the teammate and Bill's of course as well, who are into the pits as Bill's looking for a wing change as well, it looks like. Out comes Sam Green in P6. Good stuff from him. But like I said, I think a few drivers having a few incidents on their way in due to the conditions of the track. Jinner and Dan Murphy switching places once again into sector 3. More movements up in the order, of course, with the some people trying to get into the pits and some people staying out. We'll have to have a look at that as well. Kaz is going to move up the order quite nicely here as well, it looks like. He should be up into P8 at least. No, I think he's behind Bills, unfortunately, at the moment. He's slotting into P9 then for the time being. And Dan Murphy is carrying on. Lucas Percy is pitted off for the wet compound tyres. Jinner is carrying on. Dan Murphy is carrying on. He's up into P8 now, which is pretty good indeed from Dan Murphy, but of course staying on the intermediate compound tyres. Maybe that is a strategy call. Maybe he knows that it's going to dry out later on in this race and go back to the inters potentially. We'll find out in a few laps time, of course. We'll have to wait and see. We'll have to sit tight and wait and see, of course. Lucas Percy coming across the line. He's going to actually jump Jinner here, which is fantastic stuff indeed from Lucas Percy, because he's, like I said, he's got the pace on these tyres. Of course, all the drivers had a bit of a wet qualifying to sort of practice these type of conditions, thankfully. So it's not out of the blue for them. But here comes Percy now trying to get a move now on Baguette. Umabro and Umabro's in the pits. That's why Fanjo has got up to P2. Let's have a look here at Baguette and Lucas Percy. Lucas Percy got himself up into P15 now. It's coming back for Lucas Percy now, which is good stuff to see. He's getting himself back in the fray. Umabro is trundling himself down the pitch. AC Morton's going to take back that podium place, but I think he might get out ahead of Ewok. Ewok's coming to the pits as well. It looks like so Sam Green is the next challenger for Umabro, but again he's going to be out well ahead of the Mercedes driver of Sam Green, who's now into P5, getting past his teammate of Ewok. Ewok's gone back onto the pits, onto the inters, I should say. It looks like. So maybe that is a bit of an error from himself or from the game, and that is not what he wants to be on, but we'll have to find out. Maybe a fresh Inters is the right tyre anyway. We'll have to see as it all unfolds in terms of the strategies for everybody else. Into the pits comes Kydell. from P7. Is he going to pit for the wets or for the Inters? Bills is on the Inters as well. I didn't notice that. So Bills now in P7 on the Inters. Kaz has got himself up to P8 with Kydell's pit stop. What's the tyre going to be? It's going to be the wet compound tyre. He's serving that 5-second penalty as well. I forgot about that. He's got a 5-second penalty, of course, from his last pit stop where he sped to the pit lane. So that is him done and dusted there. He's served that now. Dan Murphy's going to get himself up into the points here with, of course, Kydell's stop. And I think Swanshanks will as well get himself up to P11. Good stuff indeed from him. Fudge McMuffin is going to come around the final corner. He's having a bit of trouble there, is McMuffin, on that corner there. But no, he's got himself through nonetheless. Serious Russian now is very close indeed behind. Kaz has got himself, like I said, up into P8 with that early stop. He's done 5 laps now on the wet compound tyres. Maybe stopped a couple of laps too early, but he's got the call right nonetheless, and got himself nicely up into P8 as well. Good stuff indeed from the Ferrari driver. And of course, if the tyres are wrong for the Red Bull and for the Mercedes ahead of him, then he could be able to gain a couple more places as well, with the intermediates not being the right tyre. Potentially, we'll have to find out, of course. It doesn't look like it's too bad for now. Well, Baguette has left the session there. That's not good news. Hopefully she can get herself back in. Fingers crossed anyway. But nonetheless, we'll have to crack on without her, unfortunately, at the moment. Fingers crossed, yeah, like I said, she can get herself back into the car. That will, of course, be good news for Jinner, who can get himself up into P16. But yeah, unfortunately, at the moment, as Jinner is put on the intermediates as well. So I think quite a lot of drivers can't decide between the inters or the wets at this stage of the race. Let's have a look and see what the gap is going to be like with AC Immortal and UMAB, bro. Because, of course, these guys are going to be the ones who sort of setting the precedent on the wet compound of tyre. Let's have a look and see. I think the gap is coming down slightly. As Ewok is back in the pits. He's called it a day on those inters. He's only done 1 lap on them as well. And I think he decided that it's too wet for those intermediate compound tyres. He is onto the inters now. And that is him... he's dropping down the order, unfortunately, now, but I think the wrong call there, as Kaz is now up into P2. Yellow flag in Sector 2. It is Jinner, unfortunately. Jinner is off the circuit once again. He's been lapped, I think, as well now by X-Gamer and Fandro, sorry, I should say. Jinner then just needs to keep himself going. Fudge McMuffin has dropped down the order as well. He's been passed by Lucas Percy. Ewok Jr. coming out of the pits now in P8. But Jinner there having a bit of a difficult time there. Unfortunately, he's had a spin there somewhere, and that has cost him some more time to Baguette. I think Baguette, like I said, is still not in the car, so hopefully he can at least cruise up to the back of her and get that moved on. He's lost an end plate though, so I think the wet compound tyres will need to go onto that Alpine, as McMuffin is in the pits as well. He's on wet tyres already, so maybe he's going to be having a bit of maybe changing the wing or something like that. I think he's changing the front wing there. Yeah, and it's intermediates going on to that Williams this time, so interesting strategy call there. I don't know if Jinner's going to do the opposite here, coming for a wing change and for the wets instead, but we'll have to find out. The top two still carrying on there on the intermediate compound of tyre. The gap is coming down massively now between AC Immortal and the top two here as well. Yamabra is bringing that gap down with him as well. So the wet compound tyre is definitely the right tyre to be on, in my opinion, according to what is going on my screen anyway, in terms of the deltas, that is. So like I said, the top two now will probably need to come into the pits very shortly, unless it starts to dry out very soon as well. We saw how quickly it changed from the dries to inters at the beginning of the race on lap 9, so maybe we'll see the same, but the other way around, really, in terms of drying up from the wets to the inters. Dan Murphy and Swanshank switching places. I think Dan Murphy, of course, we saw carrying on the intermediates from the pit stop phase, and I think Swanshank there on the wet compound tyres is really showing now that the wets are the right compound tyre to be on at this stage of the race, of course. But yeah, it's, like I said, good calls and difficult calls to make, it seems, because it's never easy to tell unless it's absolutely pouring with rain. You know that it's the wet compound tyres, but if it's just drizzling a bit, you're not quite sure whether you need to get onto the wets or the inters at some point in the race. Kaz is doing a great job there. He's brought the gap down to Bills. Bills has had a problem there. I think he's just come back onto the circuit. But Kaz now up into P6. Good stuff indeed from him. Kydell's got past Dan Murphy as well. Dan Murphy's still staying out though. He's trying to battle through still on those intermediates, but losing a lot of time now to the drivers around him as well. Serious Mushroom is going to be coming up next, as is Lucas Percy, who is doing a good job of staying in this race. Lucas Percy got past Serious Mushroom into turn 1, into P13 that is. Yeah, now setting his sights now on his teammate of Dan Murphy, and Dan just getting out of the way there, I think, of both the drivers coming through on the wet compounded tyre, because he knows that they are going to be much quicker than him at this stage of the race. Hopefully Baguette can get herself back in the car. Muffin and Ginner are the next drivers, as Ginner's now into the wall. No, we just saw the glimpse of that at the end, hopefully he can get himself back into the we've got a yellow flag, we've got a safety car there for that, which I suppose is good news for some and bad news for others as well, I suppose. Where is Fanjo, where is X Gamer? They're both round turn 2, turn 3 already. Muffin is into the pits. That is not good news for him, and I would have potentially just stayed out here, because potentially if the leaders do pit, although they've been lapped by AC Mortal and Umabro as well, and Sam Green now, unfortunately. But I was going to say, hopefully if the leaders do pit, then they could have stayed out, but I think it might be too late to do that now at this stage. Good news, at least for them as well, they can get themselves reset and get themselves back into the queue, and then get themselves back into this race. There we go. So the safety car has been brought out for the first time. We are on lap 21 of 61, so we're about a third of the way through. Blimey, it's been a long one so far, hasn't it? But credit to all the drivers who've been in this race, and credit to Reflection as well. He didn't do anything wrong to warrant his disqualification, but it was Codemasters being annoying and difficult. So technically, all 18 drivers are still in this one. Baguette needs to get herself back in the session, but there we go. I think the wet compound tyres seem to be the right tyre to be on. Gino's got the 5-second penalty there for crossing the pit lane exit. Unfortunately, Regina, it's not going too well for him, unfortunately, at this stage. Ewok has put the intermediate tyres back on. I think this is a carbon copy of Brazil there, the first race of the season, where Ewok just didn't want to put the wet compound tyres on, or wanted to get off the wet compound tyres as early as possible, and that meant that he kept on putting on the soft compound tyres and putting on the medium compound tyres, and it just wasn't the right strategy to go with. So hopefully he can put himself onto the wet compound tyres now. Dan Murphy's in the pits. I think he's going to use this safety car to his optimisation to get the wet compound tyres onto that car, and will probably come out ahead of Fudge McMuffin there as well. He will come out ahead of Fudge McMuffin, of course. He's actually the next car to be lapped is Dan Murphy at the moment. But will the leaders come in? Let's have a look. X Gamer is coming in the pits. Fanjo is also following him in. So they're both the top two now coming off those intermediates. Drive through for Jin, and they're speeding under the safety car. It's not going well for Jin, unfortunately. He's really having a difficult time out there. Hopefully he can just get himself sorted and get himself back in this one, because he's not far off at the moment. X Gamer has come back out on the wet compound tyres. AC Mortals in the pits as well. Umabro takes back P3. Can he get P2? Umabro might take the lead here, actually. He's going to take the lead of the race here is Umabro. He's up into P1. Fantastic stuff indeed from the Red Bull driver. X Gamer there in P2. Fander's come back out on the intermediates. AC Immortal on the inters as well now. So have they got the strategy right? Is there a change? Is the weather getting better now? And they'll be changing back to the intermediates as well very shortly. We'll have to find out. Is Kaz going to make that call? Because he's usually the one who makes the strategy right. Ewok might have played it absolutely perfectly in that case, and I must have been just being a bit mean to him there, unfortunately. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Is Kaz going to come in? I don't think he's going to, not at this stage of the race anyway. So he's carrying on. He's gone a bit wide there. He just needs to make sure he keeps it on the circuit. But now, of course, we have to wait for the safety car, or for the drivers to catch up to the safety car queue. And that will be the next phase, as we've got AC Mortal there coming through. Kaz is just coming through turn 3. Safety car is just leaving turn 7. So there's quite a lot of drivers to get themselves all stacked up. Everyone was quite spread out, of course, in this race. So they just need to make sure they take it easy, and of course in the wet conditions, in any conditions around Singapore as well, making sure that you keep the car in the right direction, going around the final turn on the restart. That is, it is going to be treacherous indeed. So I think we might see some spins from the drivers as well as they go around the final turn on the restart, because I think those cold tyres, especially in wet conditions, is going to make it very, very easy to lose the car. And I think I myself have done that as well. It's not been just the driver's fault. It's definitely happened to me as well. So I won't comment too much on that though, because I'm obviously very good at driving. So anyway, you didn't need to hear that. So we'll have to worry about the drivers are on track now at the moment. Baguette there is still not in the session, unfortunately. So I don't think she'll be classified in this race, unfortunately for her. Muffin is and Jinner are still trying to catch up to the queue, as is the rest of the pack still at the moment. But like I said, this is, well, I suppose it's good news for some at this stage, because they can have a bit of a break there rather than going at full pace. So have a bit of a rest there, recover their energies and their I don't know, whatever they want to recover, and they can get themselves, make a cup of tea, I suppose, if they wanted to. But yeah, they get themselves back underway very, very shortly. But like I said, we'll have to wait for everyone to get to the safety car queue. We're just coming, the last car's coming through sector, well, coming through the end of sector 1 now. So yeah, we'll be very shortly getting back underway, I would imagine. Just waiting for, like I said, the last few cars to get themselves into the order, and then we can get back racing once again. But yeah, you've got to bear with us for the time being. Like I said, it's a very long circuit and a very long lap as well, especially in wet conditions. So the spread of the drivers is going to be much bigger as well, and that has meant, of course, that some drivers have to. It's going to take a bit longer for the safety car to pick up all the drivers as well. So that means the safety car will be out for a longer duration of time. But we're almost there. So AC Immortal, Fanjo and Ewok have gone onto the intermediate compound tyres. Swanshanks is coming in the pits there. I think he might have called it a day on the wets as well. He might be getting this right. Of course, pitting on the safety car, you lose a lot less time to your rivals than you do under green flag running, which is good news for some. Good news if you pit under green flag, under yellow flag, that is, or safety car, that is, as he got a wing change coming. I think that might be no, it is a strategy call as well, but a wing change for that Alfa Romeo, another one I think as well. That's the second time we've seen Swanshanks in for a wing change. He's come back out on the intermediates as well. Baguette has got past him, as has Dan Murphy, so that puts him now at the back of the queue at this stage. But onto the intermediate compound tyres, if he's got that call right, I think he might be in with a shout of getting himself further up the order, especially with this safety car. It will bunch the pack up, and that will put him right into the points as well for Swanshanks. So we're looking forward to seeing how that all unfolds. But first he needs to get himself back into the safety car queue. Like I said, the safety car now coming through into sector 3, and Swanshanks is now coming through as Dan Murphy and Baguette switching places for some reason. Yeah, that's a bit strange. Anyway, but yeah, Swanshanks needs to get himself in the safety car queue before it decides to just get on with it and call itself in, because I think it will do at some point. And like I said, it doesn't want to wait too long. We did, I think it came out on lap 21, so I think we've got this lap and then the next lap for everyone to catch up. And I think it will be at the end of lap 24 if it's still waiting for people, that is. So yeah, hopefully it doesn't come in this lap, because otherwise that will mean it's not too good news for the likes of Swanshanks, for the likes of Dan Murphy, and for Bills and Mushroom and all those people who are still trying to join up to the queue. It's taken them a long time to do so, but I think eventually it will just it will give up on waiting for them, unfortunately, which is the case in safety car world, and then it will get itself back into the pits. So yeah, it's not going to be in this lap, so they're going to have to buy their time and get themselves into the queue on this lap. And I think this might be the last one for everybody to get themselves into the safety car queue before it comes in on its own. Swanshank's just having a bit of trouble there, trying to catch up. I think there he needs to get himself into the lane, into the order, I should say, quickly, because like I said, he's quite far back, having made that extra stop on the last lap under safety car. So yeah, it's not looking too good, as it looks like Ewok Jr. is not having a great time on those intermediate compound tyres, and that is slowing down the guys behind him as well. He might be holding everybody up here, and that is going to cost him and the rest also a lot of time. But like I said, they just need to be able to keep patient as well and keep themselves calm at this stage. Like I said, it's not all over just yet. Yeah, Ewok Jr. losing time to the drivers ahead of him still, and that is under safety car. It's quite an interesting feat to be able to achieve, to be honest. So yeah, not good news for them. But he needs to pick up the pace, otherwise he will be losing himself and the others a lot of time to the drivers ahead of him, of course. I think Swanshanks here is not going to be in a good spot, unfortunately, for him either. It's going to be him done and dusted as well. Even the AI of Baguette has caught up to this train here. So yeah, it just shows that Ewok there is holding everybody up behind him, and that is, like I said, costing himself and the rest of the grid behind him a lot of time. They need to get into the safety car queue. I think it might be coming in this lap, Yeah, there we go. We have got the call now, and yeah, like I said, Ewok there is the one who's now going to have to get his foot down, and that is the problem there. The safety car eventually will get bored of waiting, and that will be it. It will call itself in, and that will be the time that the safety car will need to get going. I think Ewok has finally decided to catch up the safety car queue. The question is, will Baguette and Dan Murphy be able to do the same? I'm not quite sure. Yeah, a bit unfortunate there for Dan Murphy, because the AI of Baguette is not having a great time of trying to catch up to the safety car queue. We'll have to look back at the restart here. Yamabra, of course, is now the de facto safety car leader. The first safety car, the first yellow flag we've had in this race, as he's just trying to warm up those tyres. Oh, he needs to be careful because it looks like that car's about to go into a wall. But now coming round the final corner, he's just going to take it easy, I think, because he doesn't want to spin the car. And now he's getting his foot now onto the power as soon as he can. Is there going to be any spins in the background? We've got a contact between Fanjo and Sam Green, I think. Is it Fanjo? Yes, it is Fanjo. Fanjo is off the circuit, and that has cost him. He's got wing damage there as well. Fanjo is off the circuit there. Baguette and Dan Murphy are coming through now to get onto the lead lap. We'll get themselves going once again. And Fanjo there has dropped down the order. He's lost an M plate. Here's Mushroom has got past Ewok for P8. Both of them have got past Ewok as well as Bills. Bills, they're going around the outside of Sirius Mushroom into turn 4, and he's got that move done up into P8. Vintage has been passed by Lucas Percy. Lucas Percy up into P4. P4 as well. He's got past Kaz, I should say, as into turn 4 they've gone. And Lucas Percy's been AC Immortal's been shoved off there. Unfortunately for AC Immortal, that is going to be that is not going to be good news for him. He's going to be just outside the points at this stage. Ewok Jr. has been passed again by his teammate AC Immortal and Fanjo as well. I think those intermediates were the wrong call for all three of those drivers there. They're onto the wrong tyre, and that is costing them time and positions there. As Dan Murphy's got past now as well. I think there's Baguette's AI car behind Fanjo now, so he doesn't have to worry too much about that. But yeah, the intermediates, no, not good news on that restart. They were too cold as well, and you can see the loss of positions there between Ewok there. I don't think Ewok lost any positions actually. AC Immortal there got a tap though from I think it was Kaz into turn 4, and that might be a penalty there coming back for Kaz at the end of this race if he gets reported by AC Immortal there. Bills has got past Vintage once again. I think these two battling away still, and now up into P5 is Bills just about. He has got the move done. Vintage there again. One of the drivers who's biding his time, just taking his time in this one. Vanjo has been passed by Baguette's AI, which is quite odd. He has got that wing damage there, has the Haas driver. Sirius Mushroom and Sam Green have switched places. Under the stand they go. And like I said, the drivers just getting themselves back into the swing of things now. Of course, it was a difficult restart. Look for some. Hopefully, there's not too much damage. I think Immortal might have Immortal's all right. He's just got a bit of a difficult opening lap there on the restart. That's all. Lucas Percy's coming into the pits. I think it's going to be a scheduled stop here. Onto the intermediates is Lucas Percy. He needs to get himself out of the pit lane. I think he's just teleported, so that's good news. But we're just watching the mechanics here for some reason. We want to watch the drivers. Out of the pits there goes the Aston Martin. Dan Murphy's got past AC Immortal there. The Inters are not the right tyre, it doesn't look like, for the time being. 5-second penalty for Lucas Percy for crossing the pit lane exit. Same as Jenner there, we saw that on the last lap, I think. Swanshanks has got past Fanjo. Fanjo is back in the pits for a wing change there, unfortunately for the Haas driver. Onto the intermediate compound tyres once again, and back out into the lane as well. So yeah, interesting stuff there unfolding. Unfortunately for AC Immortal, he wasn't at liberty. He was at mercy of whoever was behind him there, and he got tapped into turn 4. And that basically meant he had to go down the exit lane and try and spin the car back around and get himself back in the race. So unfortunately lost a lot of places with that after the safety car restart. So that will be of course looked at if he reports it after the race. We will of course try and sort that out. Gills is now trying to put the pressure on. We've got a yellow flag for Fanjo. He's got no front wing there on his car. And he's just driven into the wall on purpose. So yeah, that's not good news at all. Unfortunately, that is a yellow flag there. Hopefully it's not a safety car, because that was unnecessary safety car to say the least. So that is not good news. If it does cause a safety car, of course. Hopefully it doesn't. but nobody is coming into the pits just yet. I think X-Gamer might be coming into the pits now. Yep, he is coming into the pits from P2. Will his teammate follow him in, or is he going to stay out? He's going to stay out. He doesn't want to double stack at this stage. Swanshanks gets a drive-through penalty, unfortunately, for Swanshanks. Actually, he won't lose many places with Swanshanks, so that's not too bad, I suppose. Onto the intermediates goes X-Gamer there from P2, I should say. So that is an interesting strategy call there. In Sam Green is coming into the pits as well. I think maybe some of the drivers there deciding it's time for a change, as Sam Green's got a wing change there coming his way as well. X-Gamer coming out the pits is going to be behind Dan Murphy now. He needs to make sure he doesn't cross the pit lane exit line, as we've seen some drivers do that already, and that's cost him a 5-second penalty as well. X-Gamer has come out 3 seconds or so ahead of AC Immortal there, of course, with AC Immortal having his difficult restart after the safety car, thanks to I think it was this driver here, Kaz. I'm not mentioning any names, of course. Then it has cost AC Immortal quite a lot of time there. He's now 4 seconds behind X-Gamer, who of course was our pole sitter. AC Immortal did line up on the front row as well in P2, but there we go. So unfortunate circumstances, but of course that is racing. It will be looked at, of course, after the race as well, if there's anything that is reported. So yeah, we will take that into consideration after the race. Dan Murphy now on the wet compound tyres. He's trying to chase down Ewok there for P7 on the intermediates. Like I said, a lot of drivers now changing from wets to intermediates, so maybe the wet weather is ceasing or slowing down, I should say, at least. But we'll have to wait and see which tyre is still the optimum tyre at the moment. I think it's quite difficult to choose between both the wets or the inters at the moment. It's still quite even between the two of them. Here comes Lucas Percy trying to get himself up into P11 there, ahead of Baguette's Ghost car. So that would be almost into the points there for Lucas Percy, which will be a fantastic feat indeed as he goes through the Alfa Romeo. Good stuff indeed. Still can't quite get past, unfortunately, at this stage, which is quite odd because the AI is not set very high. But anyway, here comes Umabro. He's into the pits now from the lead of the race onto the intermediate compound of tyres. I should get my words out. And he's carrying on now into the lane. Kaz and Bills has carried on, as has Kaido and Vintage. Sirius Muffin's coming in the pits now as well. Ewok Jr. is carrying on. Dan Murphy's coming in the pits, so I think we'll have to go by Dan Murphy's decision. I think it's usually whenever Dan Murphy pits, we know it's time, and it is Dan Murphy time, so it is intermediates for the rest of the drivers now, I think, or that is the best tyre to be on, I should say, at this stage of the race. X-Gamer has not managed to do the undercut, though, on Umabro. Umabro stays, the gap stays roughly the same. Kaido's got past Vintage into turn 4. Oh, it's going to be tight there into turn 4. He's managed to keep the gap there just about, and very good driving indeed from both drivers there. Yeah, like I said, the gap between X-Gamer and Umabro was about this sort of size as they Tangerine and Dan Murphy switching places out of the pits as well, it looks like. But X-Gamer and Umabro were about roughly 1.2, 1.1 seconds or so on the entry to the pits, and before they both pitted. And now coming out of the pits, it's roughly the same. So X-Gamer, you would have thought, going onto the faster tyre, as it looks like at this stage. He has managed to bring that gap down with one extra lap of warm-up, of course, on those tyres. And Umabro trying to get those tyres up to speed, of course. Ewok Jr. there has done a good job. He's got himself up into P5, which technically is a net P1 if the top 4 do pit for intermediates as well. So that is pretty good news for Ewok. So he's looking to get some good points here if he can get to the finish line. Of course, we are just about coming up to the halfway stage of this race, which is a miracle to say, but like I said, thankfully it looks like it's starting to slowly dry out more and more as the laps progress, so that means we'll be back to hopefully dry compound tyres very, very soon. And there you go, Umabro, they're trying to get the lead back, or the net lead back of this race. Anybody coming into the pits? Bills is coming in from P1. And we've got Kaz who's staying out. Kaz has done 16 laps on those wet compound tyres. Kaido's also staying out. Vintage is also staying out. Top 3 now staying out. So the Bills is now onto the intermediate compound tyres, coming through the final corner. Let's see if where he's going to come out. He's going to come out ahead of AC Immortal. AC Immortal's lost a lot of time there to X-Gamer. Bills is going to come out in P7, I think, because I think AC Immortal is a bit too far back. Ewok's picked up a 3-second penalty there for his troubles coming through turn 2 and 3, and that is that done and dusted. As I'll have to wait and see where AC Immortal is going to come out. He's always tight there between AC Immortal and Bills, very tight indeed on the exit of turn 3. Looks like the AlphaTauri just going to go around the inside now into turn 4. It's going to be tight indeed. There's contact, I think, between the front left and front right tyres, and Bills has got ahead now just about into this section. Lucas Percy all over the back as well now, trying to make amends. Here comes AC Immortal again down the inside. He's made that move. He's made a bit of contact as well with the Red Bull, I should say, as Lucas Percy now trying to get himself through as well. All three of these drivers battling a bit too hard at this stage of the race. They've got plenty of time left in this race to make moves. As AC Immortal there, Lucas Percy with a fantastic switchback there to get himself past AC Immortal and up into P7, into the Singapore Sling section. There you go, and like I said, it looks like just need to be careful through here because it's very easy to lose the car. Yellow flags in sector 3. Kaidel is off the circuit, unfortunately. With Kaidel, I think he's got everything intact. We'll come back to that. Serious Mushroom has been passed by Dan Murphy. We'll come back to this battle. Baguette is back in the session, so she is resuming her race. So she's been out for the last sort of 8 or 9 laps, I think it was, maybe a bit more than that. But anyway, Lucas Percy now under pressure. Now he's going to have to try and fight off the likes of AC Immortal and Bills as well. Lucas Percy really got himself back in this race with a fantastic recovery drive. My candidate potentially, we're only halfway through, but like I said, we're going to have to start doing candidates for driver of the day very soon. But into the pits now comes Kaz. Good day now on the wet compound tyres. Vintage is following him in, as is Kaidel as well. So now Ewok Jr. takes the lead of the race. Good stuff indeed from the Mercedes driver, but he's got two very seasoned veterans right behind him now. Yumabro there in P2 and X-Gamer there in P3, all over the back of him. Kaz is coming out of the pits now. Where is he going to be in terms of the rest of the drivers, the rest of the order? Looks like P7 potentially on the cards. Baguette is into the pits as well now. Lucas Percy got himself back up into P4. Fantastic stuff indeed. Kaz has got a penalty there for crossing the pit lane exit line. You don't want to do that. It is bad for you. As you get a 5-second penalty, of course, as you can see. But Kaz now coming back out in P7. That's good stuff indeed from him. Baguette has got herself back in the car, back in the race, I think. No, she's just drawing back, but I don't think she's in control of her car just yet. So she's back out on circuit now on the intermediate compound tyres. 8-lap hold into this as well. That's not a great call there from her AI car, but she's joined back in the session nonetheless. So there we go. Out in the lead, we've got a 3-way battle still for the top spot in this one. This battle is going to cost a lot of time there to Mabro and X-Gamer, of course, with Lucas Percy now bearing down in the background. Lucas Percy there is on the charge. He could potentially still win this race after a horrible first few laps. We're only halfway through now at this stage. It feels like it's been going on for a long time as well, but we are only halfway through. I think Baguette has now got herself back in the car, which is good news indeed. But yeah, it looks like Mabro putting the pressure on now. Ewok to try and get himself past now, try and get himself into the lead and get himself a gap there out ahead. At the moment, X-Gamer is just biding his time, it looks like, behind the top 2. But Lucas Percy is bringing that gap down massively. It was 9.5 seconds, I think it was. It's now almost under 7 seconds. So that gap is coming down rapidly. Ewok Jr. is holding these two up at this stage of the race, I think. And I think they need to get themselves a move on as well, but they probably don't know that just yet. They can't see the gaps around them just at the moment, so they have to just look at the track map, look in their mirrors and see where the cars are. But at the moment they're not heeding the warning, I don't think, as they can see that delta, or they hope they can see that delta to Lucas Percy tumbling down rapidly at this stage. Absolutely fantastic racing there from Lucas Percy. He's really brought that gap down massively. Let's have a look at the penalty situation. We've got 3 for Ewok there, 5 for Percy, 6 for AC Immortal, 11 for Kaz, and then we've got 3 there for both of the Williams drivers at the back there, unfortunately for McBuffin and for Jinner. 3 seconds penalties for them both. But at the moment, let's have a look at the position changes as well now. We want to have a look at these. Up 6 places there is Ewok, up 2 places as well as Yumabro. Good stuff indeed. 6 places as well for Percy, who started in P10, had an absolutely appalling start to the race, had to make 2 pit stops within 4 laps, and is now back up into P4. Sam Green getting himself past Vintage there into P8. Good stuff indeed from him. Kaz is up 5 places. Serious Mushrooms up 6 places as well, obviously starting in P18. So good stuff indeed from everybody on the grid so far. They're doing well. We are over halfway distance, which is good news. So yeah, congratulations to everybody who has stuck in this, or stayed in this race, let's say, or stuck in it as well, I suppose, who stayed in this race so far. They've done a good job of getting through 31 long laps of the Singapore circuit. We've still got a few more laps to go though, so stay tuned. Like I said, if it gets to a 2-hour window, then the race will end. So of course, if we do get to the 2-hour race limit, then that means that the final lap that they're on, whichever lap they are on, will be the final lap, regardless of where they are on that lap as well. So yeah, we're going to have to stay tuned, because I think it's going to be a very tight one indeed. It might be a 2-hour long stream, to be fair, or a 2-hour long race, I should say. The stream will be longer than 2 hours, of course, because we love to do everything long in ALR. Not everything is long in ALR though, of course, but you can take a guess at what that is. I will not comment any further on that, but nonetheless, Mabro, they're doing a good job. They're trying to put the pressure on once again. X-Gamer has got himself back in the fight now as well. You can see probably that Aston Martin in the background in his mirrors every now and then at the end of the straights, that sort of thing, where you can see the Aston Martin just bearing down on him. That gap has come down massively. You can see him there in the background there, Lucas Percy just entering the exiting turn 4. And now he's really gunning great guns to try and get himself back on the podium, try and get himself potentially a win in Singapore. There is still plenty of time for him to do so, and he's got the pace to do so as well, which is going to be fantastic if he can get to that position as well. Undoubtedly would be a driver of the day candidate if he can do that, but we'll have to wait and see. Like I said, still about 29 laps or so to go in this one. So plenty of racing still to be told in Singapore. So hopefully it will dry out very shortly. It looks like it's drying out slowly. It is still drizzling, I think, in some places of the track, but I think the dry line is starting to slowly form. So potentially we'll have, in a few more laps time, maybe around lap 40 or so, we'll have a bit more of a drier track, and we'll be able to see if as Umabro picks up a penalty there. Unfortunately for Umabro, that's going to cost him. That is going to be good news for X-Gamer though, because there's penalties all around him now, and he'll be able to try and capitalise on that as well. Yeah, like I said, if it does start to dry out, we'll get a dry line forming, and potentially we'll see some dry compound tyres going on the cars for the last few laps of the race. Kaideo has got himself past Vintage just about, yes he has, into Sector 3. And McLaren now back up into P9. Vintage in the points still, but he's got Dan Murphy now for company in P11 there. Dan all over the back of the Alpine car. Looks like actually the Alpine car is pushing that McLaren still, so there's still pressure on Kaidel from the Alpine of Vintage. Needs to try and keep himself honest and keep himself, try and get himself further up the order there, and escape the clutches of the two behind him there. But at the moment, nothing doing for them. At the moment, nothing doing at the top as well. The gap is coming down now to Lucas Percy. I think Lucas Percy it won't be long before he's back in this battle here. But X-Gamer and Umabro are really putting the pressure on. Here comes Umabro. He's lining up a move, is he? Down the inside of turn 4. He's gone early on the brakes there to make sure he doesn't make any contact. It was very close indeed. He was only 2 tenths behind. He is really all over the back now of the Mercedes. I think they're putting the pressure on now, both these two. They've really ramped it up now, and Ewok is going to be under a lot of pressure now to keep that position if he can. But we'll have to wait and see. Can they make any moves into turn 9 and 10? I think it is the Singapore sling, or the old Singapore sling. Not quite at the moment. Of course, the red lights are now flashing on the cars just because it's just to indicate where they are so that people can see. They're not a brake light or anything like that. Oh, the X-Gamer looking to move down the inside. No, not quite. He can't quite make that position. No, I just thought, yeah, like I said, the red lights are going to be flashing on the cars now, not to indicate that they're low on ERS, although they might be, but it's just to make sure that everyone knows where they are as well. The rain light is on. But look at the gap here. Lucas Percy, 2 seconds now to the top 3. He's quite quickly dropped to Mortal as well. Mortal's still clinging on, but he's dropped quite far way back at this stage of the race, that is. Lucas Percy now under 2 seconds now. He can see them in his sight before they even get through the corners here in the stadium section. He's got himself into the gap now to begin to fight for the fight position now and get himself into the podium places. Lucas Percy with a fantastic recovery drive in this race. It's been absolutely epic from him as well. Like I said, a great drive indeed from all the drivers who are still in this race as well. I think they've done a fantastic job in my opinion. So good stuff indeed from them. Umabro there, still trying to put the pressure on. We've got a yellow flag in sector 1. Is it? I think it's Bills. Bills is off the circuit there. He's had a problem there coming out the final turn. I think he's got a no front wing now on that Red Bull, unfortunately. He will still probably be roughly around the points paying positions if he can get himself back to the pits. But of course that will mean he's got a bit of a slow lap to do at this stage of the race as he goes almost straight on there at turn 4. Hopefully he can just get himself back to the... Oh dear. get himself back to the pits without causing any safety cars or VSCs that are needless. That's all we need to worry about now. Yeah, something tells me that that's not going to happen. But fingers crossed it does. So yeah, all we need, just keep it on the circuit. That's it, and just get yourself back to the pits, mate. That's all you need to do. Kaz is going to get excited about this, of course, extra position for himself, potentially Sam Green as well. Kaido, I think Bills, if he can get himself back to the pits, will have to make a pit stop nonetheless. So yeah, we'll just need to get out of the way of the drivers coming through. Thankfully for him, he has done. As the yellow flags in sector 2, I think it's just for Bills. They're doing a good job there of just getting out of the way, making sure that the cars on their laps are still going through without getting in the way of them. Some good stuff from Bills. Thanks very much from Bills. Lucas Percy has now caught up to the top 3 here. He's literally all over the back of X-Gamer into the stadium section they go, and he's literally almost pushing that Ferrari through the stadium there. He's managed to keep it all. They've managed to keep it all intact so far, but I think now the moves are going to start to get a bit desperate. I think here, Yamabro will have to be able to try and get himself through on Ewok there. I think Ewok's doing a fantastic job of holding up the pace of this race so far. Dan Murphy picks up a 3-second penalty there for his troubles in sector 3 now. Bills is out of the race. He's crashed. Oh dear, I think that's going to be a safety car. That is a safety car, and that is not good news. Fortunately for Bills, he has caused another needless safety car. Both Fanjo and Bills have now caused that safety car as well. Kaz is into the pits, as is somebody else. I think no Vintage has been passed, I think, by somebody under safety car, which is not good news for whoever that was. Kaz is into the pits now. He's going onto the dry compound tyres here. He's serving a penalty as well, but he's going to be going onto the medium compound tyres, it looks like. I'm not sure if that is the right call, although it does look like it stopped raining on circuit for me, which might be quite good news after the safety car has gone in, but we'll have to wait and see. Bills is now, like I said, out of this race. Unfortunately for him, that is him done and dusted in the 100% league. So Kaz is now coming out onto the track now on the medium compound tyres. Baguette is also in the pits from P12. That is the second safety car of the night. Drive through Virginia once again for speeding under the safety car. I don't know why he keeps getting drive throughs for speeding. I think maybe because he's the host, he's not actually getting the delta or anything like that, which is quite annoying. Hopefully that is the case, and it's not. Hopefully the game would work and we wouldn't have that problem. As Baguette is now back out on the medium compound tyres as well. She's on 8-lap-old mediums though, so she's done quite a bit of lappage on those tyres already. I think they might be the tyres that she started the race on at the beginning of the race when it was dry, but nonetheless, as Bills has left the session there. That is Bills done and dusted, like I said, unfortunately for him. Fudge McMuffin and Jenna. Jenna's got another drive-through. I think he's had 2 drive-throughs at this stage of the race so far, which is not good news for him, which is big. But let's have a look and see what's going to be going on. I think, like I said, they weren't too far out of the order, I should say, really, in terms of how far away they were spread out. They weren't spread out as much as they were before the first safety car, of course. So I think there'll be some more pit activity. AC Immortal gets a 5-second penalty. They have a track extend in there, so that I think will have to be looked at after the race as well, of course. But at the moment, that is a 5-second penalty that would be served probably when he makes a pit stop potentially. But like I said, if he's got the footage of that, we can get that removed, or get that reduced, I should say, because potentially it will just be reduced after the race. But we will need a copy of your race director, sir. If you don't want any penalties changed or looked at, then we need the copy of the race director, otherwise they will unfortunately be upheld. Gino's got a 3-second penalty there, unfortunately for him, as here comes Kaido. Kaido has stayed out, and on the intermediate compound tyres, that is, as Lucas Percy gets a 5-second penalty. Where is he? There he is, for crossing the pit lane exit again. So that is another 5-second penalty for Lucas Percy that will be added to his race time. Of course, pit lane penalties and that sort of thing are added to your race time as well. Of course, if you get a penalty for track extending, it needs to be looked at, or you get an unfair 5-second penalty from the game for causing a collision or something like that isn't actually a fair penalty, of course, then it will be looked at after the race if you report it, and if you put your copy of race director in as well. So there we go. Swanshanks is staying out on the inter, so there's 4 drivers now on the intermediate compound tyres. Swanshanks there in P12, then we've got Vintage in P7, Kaido in P5, and AC Immortal, our race leader now, in P1. So interesting strategy calls there we'll have to find out who is going to be right and who is going to be wrong. But I think at the moment there's going to be some big changes on the restart of this race. It has stopped raining, but I think potentially the drivers on the inters are making the right call at this stage, because it doesn't look like it's dried out enough for the dry compound tyres to be race effective, but we'll have to find out, of course, in the race itself. We get the green flags waving once again, but like I said, for the time being, we're going to have to sit tight and wait for the cars to join up to the safety car queue. And there we go. Then we're just waiting for the rest of the bunch. I think it's Swanshanks. No, it's Baguette this time. Once again to join up to the queue this time. But it does actually. The dry line is there. So potentially, yeah, it looks like the Alfa Romeo is not having any trouble. They're going through the S's section, really, the Singapore Sling section. As AC Immortal is coming back in. AC Immortal has called it on the inters in the pits for potentially dry tyres. Kydell's coming in as well. Vintage is following him in, so the inters are the wrong tyre to be on now. So everybody who made a pit stop under the safety car on the last lap made the right call to get on those dry compound tyres. Katz was the first, I think. So he is again making use of his great strategic calls to get himself onto the hard compound tyre, or onto the dry compound tyre, onto the hard compound tyre, I should say. He goes Vintage, so he doesn't think that the mediums can get to the end here. He's going to go onto the hard compound tyre to go long and potentially get to that finish line. We've got just under 20 laps to go. Vintage are having trouble trying to get himself out of the pit lane there, as Kydell's got himself up into P6 there. Dan Murphy in P7. Kaz coming round at the outside of AC Immortal. I'm not quite sure what's going on there, as I think there might be some repercussions from Codemasters if the positions do change. Baguette's got a 3-second time penalty there for coming out of the pits, I think, on turn 2, as Swanshanks is now exiting the pit lane as well. So everybody has made a pit stop now onto the dry compound tyres. We're back to the dries. A lot of drivers now on the mediums, apart from one, which is Vintage, who is on the hard compound tyres. So everybody else on the medium compound tyres as well now. So good stuff indeed. Right then. Right, so once the drivers are caught up to the safety car queue once again, we'll be back underway for green flag running. I think it's Swanshanks that this time needs to catch up to the queue, and again it's a bit too far back at this stage for the safety car to call itself in. But potentially at the end of this lap, we shall find out. So really good stuff indeed so far. Like I said, all the drivers have been quite clean and consistent. Unfortunately for Banjo, he was the inconsistent one, and so he has lost himself a lot of places there, unfortunately, and cost himself his part in this race as well. Bills there had no front wing and was trying to drive as fast as he could back to the pit lane, and that cost him as well his part in this race, and of course the second safety car of the race as well. A couple of laps ago, and this is what the safety car is doing right now. We're just waiting for the safety car to bunch up to the pack, and we'll be back underway for some green flag running. Baguette there is in the queue. It's just Swanshanks now that needs to catch up, so I think it might be in next lap potentially, unless it's a late call. Ewok there is in pole position to do the restart of this race, and of course we'll have to wait for the safety car to get himself back into the queue, back into the pits, that is, before he can get himself underway in the race once again. I do expect some spins on the final corner here, especially on the restart, because I think the drivers now will be a bit overconfident on their tyres, trying to push a bit too hard, and that might mean that a few more spins do occur. Didn't see any spins in the what's happening here. Vintage and Serious Mushroom switch places, so that's odd. We didn't see any spins, I should say, on the restart of the last safety car, because I think everyone just took it quite easy through the final quarter on the intermediate compound tyres and the wets, I suppose, as well. But now I think we might see a few drivers trying to push it a bit too far, and that will be costing them as well on the restart of this race. So thankfully now Swanshanks has finally caught up, so we'll be able to get cracking now for the restart of this race. At the end of this lap will be at the end of lap 38, so we'll be starting lap 39, which means by my calculations we'll have 23 laps to go. I think, well, maybe 22, I'm not quite sure, one or the other anyway. We'll be almost there. We'll be about 2/3 of the way through, put it that way. So yeah, like I said, it's a very long one indeed. The safety car's here, as Kaz is dropping down the order. What's happened to Kaz? He's just lost a lot of positions there, unfortunately, as Kaz is now down in 13th, and he's going to have to try and get himself back past it. Swanshanks is letting him back through. Yeah, I'm not quite sure what happened to Kaz there. Thankfully the car is still intact. But yes, so yeah, like I said, we do have a 2-hour limit on this race. I don't know if anybody knows how long the race has been going on for in terms of time. I don't know if I can check somehow. But yeah, so we're basically going to have to. A safety car is in this lap. We're basically going to have a timer that does, or not a timer. I don't think. I think we just have the checkered flag just sort of falls, and then we have to finish whichever lap that you're on in this race. If we do reach a 2-hour limit, that is. So we'll have to wait and see if that does happen. I think with the safety cars and obviously the wet weather that we've had, we might be quite close indeed, actually, to that checkered flag falling earlier than the end of lap 61. So we'll have to bear with us and wait and see. Of course, the times will be a bit quicker now in the dry. Let's have a look here at Ewok there and just see what he's going to be doing in terms of the restart. And then he, of course, is now the de facto safety car. He has to wait for the safety car to get himself into the pit lane before he can get himself underway. And just waiting for the safety car now to peel itself away into the pits, and he can get himself cracking now. So good stuff indeed. Off we go then. Away we go for the restart of the second time, that is. We've got yellow flag. I think it's just Williams there, or Ghost Car is getting out of the way, which is good stuff indeed. But Lucas Percy, they're trying to get himself into the podium places now, which would be great stuff indeed for the Aston Martin. Looks like there's going to be a bit of contact there between himself and an X-Gamer, but he's got himself past. He's got himself side by side, I should say now. DRS is activated for the Aston Martin and for the Ferrari, I imagine, as well. But into turn 4, can he make the move? He's gone deep, has X-Gamer. His contact once again as well, where Lucas Percy doesn't have to slot in. He's going to go down the inside this time now into turn 5. Still no positions gained there for the Aston Martin just yet. He's going to have to bide his time for the time being, that is. He's almost going in the wall there, like. Junior picks up a 3-second penalty, unfortunately for him as well. That is not good news for the Williams driver, but he's doing a good job of staying in this race at least, which is all you can only ask for at this stage of the race as well, of course. Because, like I said, it's not been an easy race for the Williams team either, to be honest. But they're both doing a fantastic job of staying in this one and at least getting some experience under the belt for later on in their F1 racing careers. But there we go. So, of course, now the safety car queue has bunched up everybody. The gaps are much closer indeed between all the drivers. So they just need to buy the time, get themselves into familiar positions. AC Motor there in P8 there is the biggest loser, I think, so far from the last round of pit stops and from the last safety car as well. Having made that stop after everybody else had already stopped as well from the inters to the medium compounds. And that, of course, cost him a lot of positions once the safety car queue had sort of bunched up. He had to make another pit stop from the inters to the mediums. But like I said, trying to get himself past Dan Murphy now and Kai Dell to get himself further up the order and then potentially push on for a podium position as well. We'll have to wait and see. Ewok's doing a great job there at the moment of holding back both Umabro, X-Gamer and Lucas Percy. Sam Green has joined the battle as well in P5. Then let's see if, of course, DRS is not activated just yet. We're on lap 40 of 61. Here comes Umabro now down the inside. Can he make that move? Looks like he's going to go for it this time into turn 4. He's got the move done. He's up into P1. He's taken the lead of this race. Good stuff indeed from him. X-Gamer there and Lucas Percy almost looking like they were going to come together there, but they haven't, thankfully. But now Ewok there dropping back from Umabro. X-Gamer there looking like he almost went in the wall there. That curb, that wall sort of sticks out a bit, doesn't it, on the exit of turn 6, sorry. So yeah, unfortunately, I think he might have grazed it a little bit, but thankfully not too much. X-Gamer now, Umabro now trying to pull away now from Ewok and try and get himself over 1 second. Of course, DRS is not available on this lap, but will be on the next lap. It will be activated when they cross the start-finish line at the end of this lap. Almost 9 tenths, almost a second now for Umabro. That is good news for Umabro if he can keep that momentum up. At the moment, it's just within the range of DRS for the Mercedes driver, which is what he needs. Good stuff indeed. As here comes Sam Green, looking to line up a move now on Lucas Percy. Not quite. Lucas Percy's already dropped back from X-Gamer for the time being. Just inside DRS range now is Ewok for the time being as well. I'm not getting a great shot of the barriers here. I don't know why. Ewok there, he's got that gap down to Umabro massively, although he just sets the fastest lap of the race, does the Red Bull driver. Good stuff indeed. DRS is now enabled, I think. Yes, it is. There it is. And now Umabro is trying to pull away from the DRS range of the Mercedes, but he's got some time to do it. It is now, the detecting zone is now before turn 4. I think he's now within the DRS range as well as the Mercedes driver. Good stuff indeed. He's just about kept on to the coattails of the Red Bull. But here comes X Gamer now down the inside. Can he make a move as well into turn 4? He's late on the brakes. He's made that move. He's made the move stick. He's up into P2. His X Gamer, good stuff indeed. Lucas Percy's also got through. Oh, Sam Green trying to go around the outside as well of his teammate. He's made the move stick just about. I think maybe there's some team orders there as well. Ewok doing a good job of just making sure he was aware of his teammate coming through there as well. It looked like he was quite a late move indeed from Sam Green. But Ewok there dropping down the order unfortunately now, but he's still within the battle for the top 5 and can stick with the battle for the top 5 as well, potentially as well. Kydell was almost 2 seconds behind the top 5 as it stands at the moment. X Gamer has got himself just within DRS range, I think, of the Red Bull just ahead of him. Yes, he has. Good stuff indeed. So, like I said, they'll be trying to be selling themselves out now, battling for the lead of the race. Kaz has got a penalty there, unfortunately for Kaz. It's going to add up for him at the end of this race, but nonetheless, he's doing a good job so far. X Gamer, like I said, is going to be trying to stay within the DRS range now of the Red Bull. But like I said, all these drivers doing a fantastic job. Umabro has led the race before the safety car as well, as has X Gamer, as has unfortunately Lucas Percy hasn't. Sam Green hasn't either, but Ewok has. So there's quite a few drivers who are in the top echelons who are looking to get their lead back. Kaz and Swanshanks are battling away. I'm not quite sure what's happened here. Kaz has got past Swanshanks. I think AC Mortar's been past. Dan Murphy's off the circuit. Well, he's not off the circuit, he's on the circuit, but he's spun on the final corner, unfortunately for Dan Murphy. Just getting himself back going once again. Swanshanks has got P11 there, but Dan is not far off the point still, as Kaz picks up a penalty there for speeding in the pit lane, and that is going to cost him it's going to cost him 5 seconds, but it might cost him a bit more time in the pits as well. No, not quite. He's just changing his front wing. Unfortunately for Kaz, that is it. He's called it a day now on those medium compound tyres. He's going on to the soft compound tyres now instead. Baguette is all over the back of Vintage now. Vintage is on the hard compound tyres like we saw under the safety car. He decided to choose to go for the hards rather than the mediums. So interesting strategy call there from the Alpine driver. But he's decided to put the hards on, which of course will be a bit more slower than the mediums, but they will have more grip and be more durable, so they will go longer than the mediums. So we will have to find out if it is going to be the right call. At the moment, the right call is for Umabro. He is trying to pull away now from X Gamer Lucas Percy as well. Sam Green has dropped off this battle here as well. Both the Mercedes, they're struggling to keep within the top, to keep within the pace of the top 3. So that will drop them out of the fight for the time being. That is. Yeah, both the top 3 now trying to get themselves into the prime position to get the lead back into the wall. There goes Lucas Percy. I think it was anyway. It looked like it was into that right hand side went the right end plate, but thankfully it hasn't fallen off. So that is good news. Like I said, the Aston Martins may be built like the Mercedes potentially in this game, so they don't break at all. Dan Murphy's got himself back past Swanshanks as well after recovering from that spin there. He's only 3 seconds off the points there at the moment, so good stuff indeed. Fudge McMuffin has picked up a 3-second moment, unfortunately, from AC Immortal. Was all over the back now of the McLaren of Kydell. Can he get himself up into P6 now? He's got the next straight to potentially try. He's just getting past a Williams driver there. So Kydell there just getting himself into position to try and defend this one. We'll go on board with AC Immortal now. ERS is activated. DRS is activated. Down the main straight they go. They've got the change for the lead as well. Here comes AC Immortal. He's got P6 before the braking zone. It's all done and dusted. Umabro has lost the lead though, I should say, to X Gamer. X Gamer's got himself past and up into P2, up into P1 I should say, reclaiming his pole position lead that he of course held at the very beginning. Here comes Lucas Percy now down the inside into the Singapore Sling section. He's got the move done up into P2 as well. Really good move round the outside there as well. Down the inside I should say, from the Aston Martin driver. He's trying to keep up with X Gamer here. Umabro doing a good job of staying with this battle as well. All he needs to do really is stay with this battle. He can still get a podium on the card. There's still podium on the cards for him. Sam Green has actually got himself back in the fray as well. Good stuff indeed from Sam Green. Like I said, he can get himself back in this battle for the podium places, potentially get himself onto the podium steps as well. So we'll see how that unfolds in the next few laps. We've still got about 18 laps or so to go, something like that anyway. 17, 16 or 18, something like that to go. But like I said, again, if the timer does fall at 2 hours, it will of course stop the race whenever that does happen. But I think we might be okay at the moment. I think we started at about 7:30, and of course the first 20 minutes or so were qualifying. So then that would have meant that we started the race at about 10 to 8. So we've still got about 25 minutes to go left of the 2 hour timer, I think, as Percy, I think it was, X Gamer has been passed by Lucas Percy for the lead of the race. Lucas Percy now from the last position, from 18th position there on lap 1. Lap 4 I think it was as well, even has got himself into the lead of this race. A fantastic performance there from Lucas Percy. I think he's got quite a few penalties though, so that will of course be music to the ears of X Gamer if he can keep within the DRS range of the Aston Martin. AC Immortal has got past Ewok there for P5. Again, penalties for AC Immortal though, so that will come back to him at the end of this race. Come back to bite him at the end of this race. So that will be all taken into account as when they cross the finish line, of course. I think there might be some penalties to be looked at after the race, of course, if everyone's got their race directors and their footage, of course, that will be much needed. So, of course, you do need a copy of your race director if you're reporting any time penalties to be looked at as well. So a full copy of the race director lap by lap, if that's possible, please. But anyway, we'll have a look. We don't need to look at that. We need to look at the penalty situation there. 5 seconds there for Lucas Percy. So if he doesn't have to make another pit stop, that will of course be added to his race time at the end of the race. X Gamer doing a great job there, hanging on with the Aston Martin. They've almost dropped Umabro here. Umabro might just get some DRS down the main straight just to help him get back in with that range. But Sam Green now has dropped off the back. AC Immortal is going to be pushing through to try and gain on the top 4 now as well. Here comes Vintage as well down the main straight. He seemed, well, I thought he was right behind Serious Mushroom. Where was Serious Mushroom? Oh, I'm not quite sure what happened there. The Delta seemed to have messed up. But nonetheless, we'll crack on. We'll have a look at the stops. Everyone's done 4 stops, 6 stops for Lucas Percy. Of course, he had to make 2 stops at the beginning of this race, 7 stops for Ginner as well. It's not been good for those guys, but Lucas Percy there just capping off what has been a fantastic drive for the Aston Martin driver himself. Like I said, started in P10, always fell to the back of the order, had to make 2 stops before lap 4, and is now leading this race. It's absolutely fantastic. Indeed, Dan Murphy there trying to get past Baguette there on the inside in turn 4. Forces the Alfa Romeo slightly wide there. Into turn 5, they go side by side once again. Oh, there's contact of Dan Murphy. They're just, I think, losing the traction on that car. And thankfully, no damage there for Baguette, and everyone can carry on as they were. Baguette there on 18-lap-old medium compound tyres. When all the mediums die off and they will have to come into the pits, I'm not quite sure. Potentially, Baguette is going to be trying to go onto the soft compound tyres for the end stint of this race. We'll find out. They're still clinging on to the Aston Martin. I think he needs to try and stay within that DRS range so that he can, of course, pull himself along and use that penalty to his advantage later on in this race. Of course, the closer he can stay to that Aston Martin, the better it will be. But of course, it doesn't matter too much if he does. Oh, he's off the circuit. He's out. No, he's not. He's not out. Thankfully, he's had a spin. He's going to get himself back in the race. He's only P5 at the moment. He's going to lose a couple of places, but will still be in the points. So he just needs to get himself back into the pits and get a new front wing on that car. Just slow that car down as well. Make sure you don't get the penalties for speeding in the pit lane. But no, he's unfortunately Rex Game. We just saw him there losing traction. It's exactly what's happened to me before in league racing, which is a big shame for the Ferrari driver, I should say. Onto the soft compound tyres, which should get to the end of the race. Still 15 laps to go. But he's going to come out now in P12, unfortunately, for X Gamer. He was doing a great job there. AC Immortal got himself up in the podium places into P3, sorry, I should say, getting past Sam Green. Of course, technically on penalties, that is still going to change. Kaido gets himself past Ewok there for P5, and there's Williams there doing a great job of getting away there, I think, from, I'm not sure who that was. But yeah, I think so it looks like Ewok there just struggling a bit on those tyres at this stage of the race, but he's still doing a good job at this point. X Gamer, like I said, will have extra pace now. He'll be on the soft compound tyres. He'll be pushing as hard as he can to try and get himself back in the points. He's not far off the points in terms of the penalty situation for the drivers ahead of him, so he's still within the fight for some points paying positions in this race. And especially on those soft compound tyres, he'll be going great guns to get himself back in the points paying positions. I think we'll see probably on the next lap a fastest lap pop up for X Gamer, no doubt, because he will be he's getting very close to that wall once again. But that gap is already coming down massively to the drivers ahead of him, so he's looking to get himself back in the order. Oh, he's going very wide there on the corner. Maybe the tyres are not warmed up just yet, but yeah, not quite sure what's happening there to X Gamer. He's really having trouble trying to get through those complex of corners there. Maybe that's the car setup for you. But again, still gaining time on the driver's head, which is fantastic to see. To get himself back in this race, like I said, it was an unfortunate mistake there for him, but he's done a good job nonetheless. So AC Immortal now is all over the back of Umabro. Can he get himself back into P2 where he started this race? Like I said, he's done a fantastic job of getting himself back in the order as well, as has Lucas Percy, of course. But now here he comes now on the attack. Mabro is quite defenceless there. The red light is already flashing on the red ball, and he's back through already. He's into before the braking zone. He's up into P2. Mabro slots back into P3, but still doing a great job there as Mabro in P3. Really putting on a good show in this race. Sam Green is using that to try and get himself into the DRS range of the two ahead of him as well, but he's just about on the cusp of that. Here comes Dan Murphy now trying to get past Vintage into turn 4. He's got the move done and dusted before the braking zone once again as well. Dan Murphy now up into P8. Of course, Vintage there on the hard compound. We spoke about this earlier, 5 laps ago as well now. But Vintage there looking to go much longer. I think potentially he's hoping that the medium compound runners around him will have to pit before the end of this race for a new set of tyres, and he'll be able to carry on. So that might be a great call here for Vintage if he can get that, if he gets that right. We'll have to wait and see. We've seen a lot of strategy calls go right and wrong here in Singapore already tonight. It's been an absolutely epic race. It's been an absolute pleasure to commentate on. We've got yellow flag in sector 1 and 2. Sector 2 and 3, I think it might be Serious Mushroom there going off the circuit there. Unfortunately, with Serious Mushroom, he's managed to recover, which is good. And he's carried on in P7. So he's doing a great job there with Serious Mushroom, looking for his best points haul of the season so far at this rate. So he just needs to make sure he keeps it calm, cool and collected and gets to that finish line, which is now within 12 laps or so distance. It's not too far away now, it's getting there. We've been going for a long time, but like I said, the drivers are almost there. They can just need to make sure they can keep going to that finish line, keep the concentration levels up, and focus on just the drive and getting through each corner by corner, each lap by lap. And look at that in Serious Mushroom's favourite car as well, the Haas. He's doing a fantastic job indeed to put on a great show and get some good points for the Haas. Unfortunately, his teammate Fanjo is out of the race. Oh, we got a spinner there of Williams, I think it was. Yeah, so X Gamer does hit the fastest lap of the race, as I thought he would. 39.718 there on lap 47. But yeah, Serious Mushroom doing a fantastic job there, of course, scoring a good points for the Haas if he finishes in this order. And like I said, unfortunately for Fanjo, he's the other driver in the Haas and is not no longer in the car, no longer in the race, I should say. He's been collected by the truck and wheeled away into the garage back again. So he'll have to try again next week. But unfortunately, it was a bit of a smash there for Fanjo, which cost him the car. I think one of the front tyres fell off. So yeah, it was a bit of an up on that. But he needed to get himself. He needed to get himself back to the pits and get himself sorted, but he couldn't make it that far. Unfortunately, here comes X Gamer now. He's got the gap down to 3 seconds almost, as Kaz picks up another penalty there, unfortunately, for the other Ferrari driver. X Gamer is really struggling, actually coming through any complex of corners now. It looks like it seems like the understeer is very difficult on that Ferrari, and it's really putting him under a lot of pressure, it seems like, to try and get himself through the corners at any high speed. He's managed to negotiate that one all right, but now the gap is 2.4 seconds. It's come down by almost a second within 2 corners. Swanshanks is going to be under pressure very, very shortly from that Ferrari that you can see looming in the background, and here he comes now. He might have DRS on the main straight, potentially on the next straight as well after turn 4. But yeah, it's going to be very close indeed. And here he comes now, coming around at the final corner is X Gamer, looking to get himself up into P11, and he's then going to be about 4 seconds off the points. But I think the get has got a few penalties, so that might mean he's already automatically, if it was to finish now, he would automatically be in the points paying positions if he can get past Swanshanks. But we'll have to find out. He is going to be within DRS range of the Alfa Romeo ahead of him. Equaz has put in the fire emojis. Yeah, I'm not sure who you're supporting, but it looks like Aston Martin are doing pretty well. Of course, Equaz is in the Aston Martin in the Silver League, of course, which is on Monday nights. I can talk about all the ALR leagues at the moment because it's quite calm out here. X Gamer gets himself up into P11, I should say. But yeah, it's calmed down for now, which is nice. But yeah, like I said, of course, ALR Gold on Sunday nights, the top division of ALR, and then we have ALR Silver on Mondays, and then ALR Bronze on Tuesdays as well, which all of them start at 7:30 PM at UK time. And then we have the 100% League, which is on Wednesdays, as you're watching right now. That starts at 7:30 PM UK time, and of course it is a short qualifying format instead, and it's only it's 100% distance race. So the drivers are putting it in their duress. They're really under a bit of pressure here, as AC Mortal is having the pit. Is that a bit of pressure that's being told here? Let's have a look. But yeah, like I said, the 100% League is on Wednesday nights at 7:30 PM. So all ALR leagues at 7:30 PM on UK time. That is. Onto the soft compound tyres goes the Alpha Tauri. Is he going to get out ahead of Serious Mushroom? He isn't, unfortunately. Dan Murphy's going to come through as well, I think. Potentially Vintage also, which is quite interesting. Let's have a look as we got a yellow flag. It's Fudge McMuffin is off the circuit there. I'm not quite sure what's happened to him there. AC Immortals dropped back behind Vintage there as he comes out of the pit in P9. We're looking to go as fast as he can. Vintage, like I said, this is playing into his hands now. If the other drivers around start to pit, he's going to be the one going through on those hard compound tyres and going to the end still. Just over 10 laps to go in this race. It's been an absolutely epic one, hasn't it, as well? It's been quite a long one for me to commentate on. But there we go. I think everyone's doing all right, which is good stuff indeed. Yeah, for the time being, it's all good. Aston Martin is the one that Equaz is supporting, of course. Both the Aston Martins in the top 10, in the top 7 even at this stage of the race. Looking good indeed. Lucas Percy is checked out in the lead. He's at 8 seconds ahead now of you, Mad Bro. We did think that was going to happen. Well, of course, when Lucas Percy got into the lead, that was likely to happen. X Gamer go around the outside into the Singapore Sling section. Up into P10 is the Ferrari, I should say. And he's got himself into the points, back into the points as well as X Gamer. Good stuff indeed. He's now 3 seconds behind AC Immortal. AC Immortal, of course, put on the soft compound tyres, so we'll be probably going quite quickly very soon. But X Gamer still within the realms of getting some good points here if he can just keep himself in this race. He's got 10 laps to go, like I said, to get to the finish line. And I still think there's a good points for the Ferrari driver as well, because, like I said, he's got extra pace compared to the drivers ahead of him now on those soft compound tyres, and he's not got any penalties as well. So potentially the drivers with penalties might be dropping behind X Gamer. They'll see him coming in the mirrors, and they might see him finish ahead of them as well. So all he needs to do now is just go as fast as he can, but keep it on the circuit. AC Mortal, they're trying to line up and move on Vintage now into turn 1. Oh dear. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. This is not good. I've got to submit the error report, of course, can't I? Hopefully I can get back in. Fingers crossed. I can just use another invite. Here we go. Bear with us 1 second. Technical difficulties and all that. So, oh dear. Thank you, Lucas. Yeah, he was so far out in front he could send me an invite as well at the same time, which is very nice of him. But hopefully I can get myself back in. I'm communicating with online services. Why is it taking so long to check my privileges and whatnot? Just join. Let me join. Right. Here we go. We're loading back in there. Sorry about that. Hopefully I can get back in and spectate. I should be okay. I think I'm ready. Well, and now I'm just looking at that screen. I'm in spectator mode. That's good stuff. I'm back again. Good stuff indeed. Thank you very much for that, Lucas Percy, as well, for sending me the invite. We'll get everybody's tyres back up. Nothing much has changed out in the order, I don't think. Thankfully, I'm back in. Which is good news, of course. Hopefully, for some people, it's good news. Anyway, so like I said, we're back onto the race. We'll carry on. Thankfully, the stream did not get interrupted too much. As somebody said. Oh dear, as the Chuckle Brothers would say. Well, that is a nice random comment. Thank you very much, everyone. But we got back in, thankfully. Unlike Brazil, we were able to get back in for the end of the race. So yeah, we'll be back hopefully for the rest of the race as well, and potentially we'll get some interviews as well with the top 3 drivers at the end of this as well. So now I've figured out how to do the interviews. We've got a yellow flag in sector 1. Where is that? I think it might be a Williams. Here comes Gamer though. It's down the outside this time of Vintage into turn 4. He's made the move. Vintage there just biding his time. He's still within the points paying positions, which is good stuff indeed. Vintage, I think it's Jinner actually was causing the yellow flag, unfortunately for him. He's now onto the soft compound tyres, which is good news for him. Onto the faster tyre as well. Sector 1 yellow flags. It's now for Fudge McMuffin, who's gone off the circuit at turn 2. He needs to get himself back onto the circuit. back underway as well. Good stuff indeed. But like I said, we've now got 9 laps to go. So all you need to do now is just get to the finish line. That's all you need to do. We'll sing your praises when you get to the finish line. AC Immortal has got within DRS range now of Dan Murphy. Now it's going to get quite close between these two here. Dan Murphy going to be trying to fight for that P7 position. But here comes the AlphaTauri on the soft compound tyres as well. Fresh soft compound tyres for AC Immortal as well. Let's see what he can do. Under the stand they go, and now through towards the final couple of corners of the lap. Of course, no DRS at these parts because there's quite a few corners in the way, but there will be DRS on the main straight for the AlphaTauri to try and get himself past. Will he bide his time and wait for the longer straight after turn 4, or will he go for it now? Let's have a look then on board with the AlphaTauri, and we'll see if he can make a move into turn 1. No, just biding your time there, just waiting for the next DRS zone. Of course, the problem with DRS, as he's had a tap there, he's made contact with Dan Murphy there, unfortunately, and that's cost them places and cost them time. Dan Murphy's got himself back past. AC Immortal's X Games, sorry, has got himself back past, up past, I should say. As I think the AC Immortal there made contact, and he did try and let. What was that? I don't know what that was from X Games there. He just needed to just wait and use the DRS to get himself through. He's already through now up into P7, which is good stuff indeed. Dan Murphy and AC Immortal switching places, of course. AC Immortal making the contact there on Dan Murphy, and then waiting very sportsmanly like to let the Aston Martin go back past. But of course, both of them doing that has meant that X Gamer has got past both of them as well. So now that is good news for the Ferrari driver. Can he get himself set his sights now on getting past Serious Mushroom, potentially get himself within the penalty range of Ewok Jr. to maybe get a P5 here for X Gamer? He's done a fantastic job of recovering in this race. He's still on for some good points as well, and potentially even more than he has got in this stage of the race. As well, 6 points coming his way, but potentially there's more on the way as well. On to lap 54. So now we have got 7 laps, I think, to go. 7 laps to go. So just like I said, not too long to go now. We're almost there. Just keep your concentration up. I'm trying to talk to the drivers here and myself, to be honest. So I'm trying to keep myself awake. But everyone's done a fantastic job in this race so far. It's been an absolute pleasure to commentate on. I need to have my dinner. AC Immortal's coming into the pits there. I think he might have got some wing damage after going to the back of Dan there. Into the pit lane he goes, and that is not good news there for the AlphaTauri. Is there a problem for the car? Potentially there is a wing change coming. I think we might have seen a bit of a tap there on the back of the Aston Martin. There is a wing change there as well for the AlphaTauri. Unfortunately, that's going to cost him places. I don't think he's going to be overtaken by Kaz, who's in P13 there. He's going to be coming out in P12. So he's still got some lap time still got some time in terms of laps to get himself back in the order. It will be a hard task as well, though, for AC Immortal to get himself back in the points. We'll have to find out exactly what the gap will be, but it's going to be quite significant there as the other two Alfa Romeos are heading into turn 4 now. He's coming out of coming out of the pits now at turn 3. So he is 20 seconds or so behind. Yellow flag in sector 3. It is for Muffin there. So Muffin now is causing yellow flag. Hopefully he doesn't cause a safety car or a VSC, because that would be quite horrible, as Gino is also spinning in exit of turn 3. Kaz is coming out of the pits now. He's going to be lapped by Lucas Percy, who has now gone through into sector 1 as well. But Kaz coming back out on the soft compound tyres, so he's going on to the faster compound tyre for now. So let's see what he can do. Like I said, McMuffin and Jinner there, I think both having their own troubles. Jinner's got his front wing intact, as has McMuffin. McMuffin, they just go driving off the circuit there, unfortunately, though. So that is a big shame, as Swanshanks there is all over the back of his teammate of Baguette for the final points paying position, though. But AC Immortal, 20 seconds is the gap. Can he close that gap within 5 or 6 laps now? It's going to be quite close. I think actually AC Immortal on those soft compound tyres compared to the really old mediums for the top 2, or to the 2 ahead of him, actually. I think that might be quite an interesting battle on the last lap, to be honest. We'll have to find out, but no doubt we'll see AC Immortal getting some quite fast lap times in some quality laps now for the AlphaTauri, to see if he can get himself back in the points paying positions. The championship leader there, not having an easy race, so we'll need to try and make amends if he can get within the points paying positions there. But nonetheless, we'll have to come back to that one. Nobody else in the top order in making any pit stops just yet. X Gamer, we saw pit for the softs after the after the unfortunate mishap at the exit of the next corner here, not this one, the next one. There we had a bit of a mishap there on the traction, I think it was, did the Ferrari driver, and that cost him his front wing, and he needed to come in for an extra stop. He's now got the gap down to Serious Mushroom to 2 seconds there. He's really pushing on fantastically, his X-Gamer. He could be up into the realms of P6 very soon, and potentially even more. Fudgment Muffin's got a 3-second penalty there for his efforts at turn 1 this time. We're on to lap 56 now, 5 laps to go. 56, 57, 58, 59, 66 laps to go. Yellow flag once again in sector 1. It's for Ginner this time. So I think both the Williams now are just having a bit of fun at the moment, it seems like. Hopefully they can keep having their fun, but not causing any safety cars or VSCs would be good. But like I said, they're doing a good job nonetheless of sticking in this race. AC Immortal has got that gap down to 14 seconds. It was 20 seconds when he came out the pits. I think he might be able to get within the realms of a points paying position here. It will be no mean feat, but it will be a fantastic few laps if he can do it. Absolutely amazing pace from the AlphaTauri driver if he can as well. But like I said, on those soft compound tyres, he has got the ability, got the pace as well to get himself back in the points. I would think almost 12 seconds now, so 12 seconds or 8 seconds he's gained in 1.5 laps, I should say. It looks like it's going to be fastest lap as well, 38.431 on lap 55 there for the AlphaTauri. Extra point, of course, as well if you get the fastest lap, no matter which position you finish, so long as you are in control of your car when you cross the finish line. So if you're in the session and set the fastest lap, of course, that point is available to yourself and your constructor, of course, as well. Looks like Swantrax is just sticking behind his teammate at the moment, no moves being made. X-Gamer is now on the back of Serious Mushroom here for P6. Great stuff indeed from X-Gamer as well, a great recovery. Yellow flags once again in Sector 3, again for Williams, I think it is, as into the pits comes Fudge McMuffin. Here goes X-Gamer up into P6 there. He's got the move done, and he's got himself up into 8 points, scoring 8 points now at this stage. Serious Mushroom's still doing a good job there, scoring 6 points there for his team as well. Yeah, it looks like both the Williams are back in the pits, so that is what's going on there. But like I said, hopefully they can just keep it clean for the next few laps to get to the end of the race. They'll have less laps to do as well, of course, because they have been lapped by the race leaders. I'm not quite sure how many times, but we'll find out, I'm sure, at the end of the race. But nonetheless, we'll get the interviews and everything like that underway when the checkered flag has fallen. I think we are very close, as AC Immortal picks up another penalty there. That's going to be costly for him, because I think he's got quite a few penalties already. Let's have a look at the penalty situation. 9 seconds there for AC Immortal. That might put him at peril there from getting a point in this race, unfortunately for him. He's really doing a fantastic job there of getting that gap down. He's actually brought the gap down by about 15 seconds or so in two or 3 laps. That is absolutely amazing from AC Immortal. That just shows how fast that driver is in terms of his abilities and his actually technical abilities, technical skill on track. Absolutely fantastic stuff indeed. We don't need to look at the stops, we don't want to look at that. Let's have a look at this. But now 6 seconds, less than 6 seconds is the gap. Actually, to be fair to him, at this pace, he might be well within the range of getting that last point, even with the penalties that he's got. He needs to pull away 9 seconds from Swanshanks and 3 seconds from Baguette, who, of course, has got 6 second penalties herself. So that is interesting stuff indeed. We'll have to see how it all plays out. Let's have a look at Kydell. He's 6 seconds behind the top 3. All of the top... third and second have got a 3 second penalty each. Jenna gets a 5 second penalty there for speeding in the pit lane. Unfortunately for him, that is going to come back to be added onto his classification. But I think all he needs to worry about now is just getting to the finish line at this stage. We're on lap 58 of 61. Only 4. Let's have a look and see where the race leader is. 3 and a bit laps to go, 3 2/3 of a lap to go. So we're almost there, guys. You're doing a fantastic job. Everybody who's still in this race, absolute pleasure to be commentating on this. It's been a great show of skill and ability and concentration as well. Like I said, it's not an easy thing to do, especially any 100% race, but especially 100% race around Singapore, where it has been raining as well for at least 20 laps or so. So everyone's done a fantastic job of getting themselves in this race. Message retracted from Irvine as well. That's nice. It looks like AC Immortal is going to be very close indeed to the DRS range, and I think we're very close indeed to a 2-hour limit. So that might be put paid to Immortal's great charge here. He's quite close indeed to getting within DRS range. He's got the DRS now on Swanshanks. He's going to have the DRS. He's going to get the move done, I think, on Swanshanks on this straight. He's really pushing that AlphaTauri to the max to get himself through, and he's got himself up into P11 now. Good stuff indeed. Great pace indeed from the AlphaTauri. But like I said, I think we might be pushing the limit towards the 2 hour mark. We might be very close indeed. We'll have to play it by ear because I'm not quite sure exactly when the race started. But I think we might be at the 2 hour limit before lap 61 actually finishes. Potentially, if it does, the checker flag does fall on lap 61 at the beginning of lap 61 or so, then we will be able to finish the race still, the full race that is. But at the moment, I'm not quite sure. Let's have a look. AC Morton now trying to up and move on Baguette to get himself into the points paying positions. Of course, he has got the move done on those soft compound tyres. Baguette doing a great job there. 31 laps on those mediums. That is no mean feat as well. She's almost done half the race. She's done half the race basically on those medium compound tyres. Of course, I think she put them on when the dry compounds were being put back on after the wet patch. But she did about 8 laps, I think, on those mediums as well before the rain started. So I think they were pitted on lap 9 for the wet tyres or the intermediate compound tyres off the race start. But anyway, so now all AC Morton needs to do is try and get a gap there to Swanshanks of 9 seconds and Baguette of 3 seconds. He might be able to get the gap to 3 seconds quite easily, but I think Swanshanks 9 seconds will be the hardest feat. Of course, and we'll have to wait and see how it all plays out. Out in front at the moment, Lucas Percy's doing a fantastic job. He's got a commanding lead now as well in this one. Like I said, it's a fantastic feat for the Aston Martin driver, because of course he was right at the back, having made two pit stops. I'm trying to get the pit stops out that too early. 2 pit stops in the first 4 laps of this race. We're on to lap 60 now, which could well be the last lap of the race. We'll have to find out if there is any message or anything from Codemasters. But if he can start the last lap, of course, then he will finish on the final, finish the full race. Of course, that will be yellow flag in sector 3. That is a Williams off the circuit again. Unfortunately for Fudge McMuffin, that is him not having a great time at this stage of the race. Gino is trying to get himself back past a Ferrari. It looks like an X Gamer. I think he's been lapped by X Gamer there, so trying to get himself back past, but hopefully no harm, no foul. Let's have a look at the penalty situation. 3 seconds for Ewok. Can X Gamer get himself within 3 seconds of the Mercedes driver? It's going to be close indeed, I think, but we'll have to find out, as once again there's a Williams there spinning off the circuit, causing more yellow flags. But here comes X Gamer. He's now within 4.3, still yellow flags for that Williams, but nonetheless we'll have to crack on and come back to him. I keep checking on Lucas Percy because I want to make sure I don't miss the win of this race, but we're not on the final lap just yet. I think we will be just about, it depends where he is actually on track. Let's have a look and see where Lucas Percy is. He's coming through the final sector now. If we can just get to the next lap, or if we can cross the start-finish line to start the last lap, then we will be able to finish the full distance of this race. It's been an absolutely epic race, the longest, of course, of the season. It's no mean feat. These drivers have done a fantastic job of getting to the finish line. Here comes Lucas Percy to start the final lap of the race, and he has started the final lap of the race as well, so I think we'll be able to finish the full race distance now and get to the finish line. Kaz picks up a penalty there, unfortunately for Kaz. X Gamer is now within 3.2 seconds. He's just going to get. He's now 3 seconds. He's now within realms of getting that fifth place now. It's so close indeed to Ewok Jr. He could be getting that 3 seconds looked at, I think, potentially, but I think it might be too much there. X Gamer might be able to get that P5 back, especially after he was outside the points on, I think it was lap 43 or so, with wing damage as well, having to come into the pits for those soft compound tyres. He's done a fantastic job of getting himself back in with this race, and he's going to be at least looking at 10 points in this one as well. Fantastic stuff indeed from X Gamer if he can just keep himself in that 3 second window of the Mercedes driver ahead of him. He's done a fantastic job indeed. Dan Murphy there in P8 doing a good job as well. AC Immortal there is on the back of Vintage now, and he has got a 11-second gap now to Baguette, which is great news for him because that means he's guaranteed to finish in the points. Can he get past Vintage though? He has got past Vintage into turn 1, but I think, like I said, Vintage will be too close indeed for AC Immortal to get himself ahead of the Alpine and score more points. Fudge McMuffin's back in the pits from P15. He's once again having a bit of a problem there, it looks like, in sector 1 as he retired in the pits there. That is unfortunately a pit and quit there. Technically he could have just got to the finish line, so I think we'll have to have a look at that after the race. Nonetheless, we'll come back to that as here comes Lucas Percy, who is like I said, last in the first 5 laps or so, coming across the line now after a great recovery drive to finish P1 in Singapore. 5-second penalty has been applied, but it won't matter to the Aston Martin driver. Fantastic race indeed. What a drive there from Lucas Percy. Absolutely commanding victory after it looked like it was going all wrong in the first sort of quarter of this race. Even the first 15-16 laps didn't look like it was going his way, but it has done now. He's the winner of Singapore. Umabro crosses the line in P2. What a fantastic drive indeed from Umabro as well. Really good stuff indeed, battling for the lead for the majority of the race too. Sam Green back on the podium once again as well. Good stuff indeed from Sam Green. He really had a quiet race, but he kept it clean and consistent and did a really good job there. Kydell in P4 there in the end. Fantastic stuff indeed from him as well. Best result of the season for the McLaren driver. Ginner gets an unserved penalty served, does serve it, sorry, at the end of the race there. X Gamer does cross the line in P5 in the end. 3 seconds. We've got a yellow flag in sector 3 once again. Hopefully everyone can get themselves sorted. Vintage has got past AC Immortal. I think it might be Immortal who's had the problem there. Hopefully he can still finish ahead of the Alfa Romeos and get himself a point. But he has done there as Dan Murphy there in Serious Mushroom in P7, Dan Murphy in P8, Vintage in P9. AC Immortal does get the final point in P10. Baguette there in P11 and Swanshanks in P12. Kaz and Ginner at P13 and 14. Core blimey, that was a race and a half. That was absolutely epic. What a race indeed. We'll have to get the drivers in quickly. I think it was Lucas and Mabro and where was it? Where are we? Let me just get them into the chat quickly. Come on, you need to load now. This is where you need to load. Would be helpful if somebody could do this for me, but I don't think they want to. So there we go. Emabro. Why is it taking so long to search for people? Honestly. Try and get the podium interviews ready and sorted, but like I said, it's taking forever to add people in, and the last person was Sam Green, wasn't it? So yeah, we'll get Sam Green in here as well. Sorry about this. We will get to the podium interviews, not podium interviews, we'll get to do the classifications very shortly. Yeah, just trying to get these people into the party as soon as I can, so that then we can get the interviews underway after the classification has been sorted. Yeah, so I think they've been added now. Good stuff. Right, let's have a look at the classifications there for the Singapore Grand Prix. Here is your podium, here's your winner. Your Aston Martin winner is Lucas Percy there after a fantastic race indeed. And like I said, he's got himself onto the podium places with an absolutely epic recovery drive. Good stuff indeed from him as well. And then we've got, of course, Umabro with an epic drive as well. Had a great battle with X Gamer, with AC Immortal and others throughout the race. So good stuff indeed from him. Let me just change that back to this, and this is that's perfect. Good stuff. So yeah, good stuff indeed from Umabro as well. And then Sam Green there on the podium as well in P3 after what has been an absolutely epic race. Unfortunately, I did lag out at some point, but I managed to get back in this time, which is good. We'll have a quick look through the classifications there from the back as well. Reflection there, DNF, and unfortunately it was a DNF. It was a bit of a Codemasters error, that one. Fanjo and Bills both crashed out. Unfortunately, Fudge McMuffin there pit and quit on the last lap, which was a bit of a shame. Ginner there in P14 there. Kaz in P13. Swanshanks in P12 and 11. Your winners there was Lucas Percy, Umabro in P2, and Sam Green in P3. Blimey, that was good. I'm joined, I think, hopefully, by some of the guys in the commentary box. I think I've got everybody in here, haven't I? Yes, everybody seems to be here. We'll start with Sam Green then. Sam, I'll go over to you. How was that race for yourself?
My thumb was fucking hurting like the last half hour. Like it
Yeah,
really
I can
hurt,
imagine.
and like Sam was on my tail, and I really had to manage that because if I didn't, if I made one mistake, I think I lose the position. So yeah, I'm very happy with P2.
No, absolutely cracking drive, and of course, best result of the season so far as well. Well, your first points of the season last week, and now P2 in Singapore, longest race of the season is no mean feat. So congratulations to you on that as well.
Thanks.
And what's your thoughts for Spain as well next week?
Um, yeah, it's one of those tracks I'm not really great at, but isn't my worst track. So yeah, I'm curious how the pace is, and yeah, I'll just aim for a top 10, I think.
Yeah. Well, good luck to you as well. We'll hope
Thank
hope
you.
P20 curse doesn't happen to you as well. And finally,
Keep
last
your
but not
mouth shut.
least, we've got Lucas Percy, our race winner. Blimey, I don't know where to start with yourself, mate. I think, like I said, I think it was lap 15. I remember commentating, and I think you've just about caught up to the back of the pack. What was your thoughts at the beginning of that race?
Yeah, I wasn't driving to my best standards at the beginning. Obviously I had no practice for the race. I've been at work all day, and I had no confidence in the setup whatsoever. I was spinning everywhere. I think I had to pit twice for wing damage, and I kept, like I said, kept spinning. And then as a couple more laps went on, I got a bit more adjusted to the setup. And yeah, as you said, from lap 15 onwards, as soon as I boxed them inters, I felt comfortable.
Yeah, it looked incredible from after the second safety car. Really, seeing you back up, even in the top five, you was thinking, "Oh, that's going to be a fantastic result indeed for Lucas in the Aston Martin." Of course, just getting a top five in that after that start to the race, you just thought it was going to be probably the best thing that could ever happen. But no, to go on and continue and win the race. Yeah, you must have been ecstatic when you crossed that finish line. I know I was ecstatic for you because I could finish commentating. But what was your thoughts when you crossed the finish line in P1?
Yeah, I was just relieved, to get there. Well, I mean, the race was fun, but it was just too long. It was just way too long. I mean, it was I think it was the craziest race I've ever participated in on Formula One. I mean, the change of conditions, the safety cars, the virtual safety cars, the battle we had. I think it was the top six was all in a train at one point of the race and separated by like 2 seconds, 3 seconds. It was just insane.
No, it was absolutely epic to commentate on, and I think, like I was saying in the stream as well, it was absolute pleasure because all the racing was fantastic. Everyone was battling as cleanly and as fairly as possible, even in like you said, the changeable conditions as well, which is quite difficult. I've experienced before, but nonetheless, absolutely fantastic racing from everybody who took part today. Been a pleasure. Looking forward to seeing what you can do in Spain. What's your thoughts quickly before we end on Spain, Lucas?
I used to love the track. I used to be I used to be quite quick at it on last year's game, but ever since they've modified the track, for some reason I just have no pace around the track. I think it's just the final sector. I lose all my time.
Good stuff then, that's great. So all three of our podium drivers from Singapore aren't confident for next week. So fingers crossed, like I said, that all changes in a week's time, of course. We'll be back for more ALR 100% League on Wednesday next week. Of course, in Spain as well, Barcelona. But of course, on Sunday, we have the Gold League, which will be taking on Miami, followed by Silver on Monday, and then Bronze on Tuesday as well. All racing at Miami there, taking on the new circuit. And then we have Spain in the 100% League on the Wednesday next week. So stay tuned to ALR. There's plenty more action coming up. And we'll see you shortly.